He just woke up after being betrayed and killed by his own sister. When he checks the date, it's 2025, 9 years before his death. He's back to the day the world changed. That year, a new game called Shinkyu 1 shocked the world. When you fall asleep, you enter this game for real. And in that world, your lifespan is everything. Lose it, and you die, but if you're strong enough, you can bring your game powers into real life. Soon the world turns into chaos. Monsters roam the streets, cities collapse, and only the strongest survive. Back then, our MC Qin Feng was one of the top players in the world. He risked everything to protect his sister. But she and her boyfriend betrayed him for the Eye of Judgment, a divine artifact that could grant godlike power. Now, reborn before it all began, Qin Feng won't make the same mistake. This time, he plays for himself at the Career Choice Hall. He picks the assassin class, and the moment he does, the Eye of Judgment reawakens. It grants him a hidden profession no one has ever seen before, the Shadow. With this new power, he decides to test it. He enters Shelltown, a safe zone where there are no monsters and players can't attack each other. Some people around him seem confused, as if they are new to the game, while others seem intrigued by Shadow's existence. They try to figure out his profession and guess that he is an assassin. He decides that if he wants to get ahead, he can't afford to wait. So he heads outside and finds a group that is almost defeated by the monsters. The players have lost most of their lifespan trying to deal with the monsters. Our boy notices one of them has a hidden class. She asks Shadow if he wants to team up with them since they can't handle the monsters alone and have experience. However, the hero refuses and decides to fight them alone. The archers warn him about the monsters, telling him they are too dangerous, yet he still goes to fight them alone. Seeing him leave alone, the archers decide to follow him, curious about his skills, and maybe hoping to gather some new information on the monsters or perhaps even see how he dies. Lizzie has no idea why she ends up in this game, but with years of her online gaming experience, she quickly forms a party, and yet, the first monster they encounter outside the beginner village wipes them out. But our boy easily defeats that monster. The team now notices there's something unusual with Shadow. His clothes, his dagger, skills, and agility. Nothing about him seems like something a level 1 player would have. As they continue to keep an eye on him, he disappears into thin air. They realize it must be the stealth skill, but it's a little too overpowered for level 1 either way. They've already died once, and their remaining lifespan has been halved, so they head to the village to search for hidden rewards. A normal assassin stealth at this level would have been easy to detect, but the Shadow class has its unique stealth mastery, making it impossible for anyone, even monsters, to notice him. Shadow's stealth duration isn't too long, but the good thing is the cooldown starts as soon as he activates stealth, so in a few seconds he can vanish again. All players start with base stats of 10, with different classes granting additional bonuses. Shadow's warrior in his last life only gets 3 pluses, so strength and constitution, but this time the Shadow class grants boosts to every stat, and his agility is boosted by 8 points. But he still has 5 points to allocate, and while most players dump their points into strength or spirit to boost physical or magic power, he knows better than that. Shadow knows agility is the key because the only way to kill monsters without taking damage is to boost agility and increase speed. Our boy finds a crawler, still absorbing the lifespan to evolve. He realizes it must be the same one that wipes out that 4-player party. He lands a one-shot kill on the crawler, which he does not even expect himself. Backstab stacked with multiple skills multiplies the damage, making it easy to kill the crawler with just one shot. When he plays as a warrior, even a critical hit deals only 40 damage, and he has to struggle to kill a crawler. Our main lead absorbs the lifespan, which should have been over 100 years, but since the crawler absorbs it first, he only gets 54 years. For defeating the monster solo, he gains infinite evolution points. Every 24 hours, he will gain 5 evolution points. In his previous life, the grade of the gear or skill book is fixed, and there is no way to improve it. Then, he uses the evolution points to upgrade Shadow Sneak and Backstab. Shadow Sneak can now last 16 seconds combined with Stealth Master. It's doubled to 32 with this duration. He can even maintain permanent invisibility. As the hero continues walking through the forest, he finds a Nurturer, so he goes invisible again. The Nurturer is a beginner boss with around 1,600 horsepower, and it has little spiders under its command, not something a rookie can handle. However, this is perfect for him to test his upgraded skills now. He rushes to attack the Nurturer and successfully deals over 300 horsepower. Thanks to his high agility, he is able to dodge the attack. Otherwise, he would have been instantly killed. However, these monsters are intelligent and won't stand idle. It tries to his location and has the spiders on alert, so now he has to be careful with the attacks. With the stealth's ambush strike bonus and class skill enhancement, even throwing rocks at the monster deals exceptional damage, so all he has to do is wait for Shadow Sneak to come off the cooldown. Then throw a rock. The rock will trigger the ambush strike, backstab, and weak point attack bonuses, then activate sneak again and wait for cooldown and repeat until the monster is defeated. This updates the leaderboard and shows him to be the first to reach level 2 after slaying the Nurturer. The other players are surprised at the solo kill because they're still trying to figure out the game, and someone has already soloed a boss. The 4-player party recognizes the main lead and thinks it's an error because they can't even handle normal mobs in a party, and he kills a boss solo. The moment the big spider dies, all the little ones scatter, and Shadow realizes he should have killed them first for more XP. He's surprised when it drops the Greedy Hand skill book. He doesn't expect a bronze boss to drop this god-tier assassin skill. The skill significantly increases loot acquisition in the late game. Taking down powerful bosses will have a 20 chance of yielding extra loot in his previous life. There is a guy who has the skill, and because of it, he becomes the most sought-after player. However, even though the activation rate is only 20, if our boy combines it with his unlimited evolution talent, it means he can endlessly boost both the drop rate and loot quantity. Xiaoyu's friend advises her to call her brother and apologize because they skipped the exam to secretly support Song Fei, and her brother must be angry. However, our boy's sister refuses because she believes she doesn't do anything wrong, and her brother should be the one apologizing to her and always meddles in her business. As they go to investigate the crowd around the classroom, they find Zhang Wei turning semi-transparent. One of the classmates explains that he just wants to take a nap, and he is like this after that. However, it isn't the only case, and it has been happening all over the world. Some experts say that as long as they fall asleep, they'll enter a semi-transparent phantom-like state, and no one knows why. Xiaoyu's friend says she's calling her family to alert them, and suggests the hero's sister do the same, but she refuses and says a guy like him is better off dead. Meanwhile, our protagonist has upgraded the Greedy Hand from bronze to gold, and now has a 70 chance of obtaining an extra piece of loot. He also has 2 extra evolution points, and to evolve Greedy Hand to +3 he needs 3 points. Then he will have a 100 chance of getting extra loot. However, the world's governments must have caught the situation by now and more, and he needs to speed up his progress and equip whatever he can use. He knows it won't be long before people realize that the skills and equipment from this game can be extracted into the real world. When that happens, the world will be thrown into chaos. However, extracting skills and equipment requires 2 conditions. First, reaching level 10. Second, having enough tradable lifespan. Grinding small monsters takes too long, so he needs to find stronger bosses. As he thinks about that, he finds a group fighting a sprint predator. He recognizes Wang Meng. The rumors are that when Wang Meng enters the game, he assembles an entire team of hidden class players. Wang Meng's hidden class, Holy Shield Warrior, has twice the base stats of a regular warrior, and comes with an innate invincibility skill. Mage class Prophet deals double the spell damage of a regular mage, and comes with a built-in prophetic fireball. The Archer class Sharpshooter has twice the stats of a normal archer, and comes with a built-in rapid shot skill. The Priest class Oracle Priest has twice the healing power of a regular priest, and starts with a group healing skill. As Shadow sees Wang Meng fight with active healing from the healing priest, he knows if the battle drags on, other monsters will be drawn in. As expected, a Corruptor, a level 2 regular monster covered in dark brown sludge, joins in the fight. Shadow finds another hidden class attacking the Corruptor. However, he hasn't seen this one before. But the attack barely deals any damage because the monster's defense is too high. The monster throws ground binds, dropping their movement speed. They are surprised when the Corruptor gets one-shot killed. They can't even defeat a level 1 crawler that easily, so that one shot is a shock to them. Our boy one-shots another one, but they still can't see who it is. They can only hope he's on their side. Shadow unlocks the Venom Dart, a mid-range poison damage skill, and devolves it immediately. The Sprint Predator stabs Wang Meng, but they are surprised when someone attacks it out of nowhere and wipes the monster's half HP. Our lead doesn't expect Venom's damage over time to trigger his class passive ability. With stealth, he can stay invisible and throw darts indefinitely. Seeing the loot just disappear, Wang Meng wonders if he is even human, and thanks Shadow for saving him. Even though he can't see him, our boy tells him to not trust anyone in the wild. Wang Meng seems reliable to Shadow, and he has the backing of Daxia's government's plenty of resources. And Shadow needs a stable sales channel so he can sell him the unused loot. Once his bag is full, Shadow decides he will head back to town and trade it for a lifespan. Now that his growth is 100 times faster than in his previous life, Shadow looks forward to seeing Song Fei as some players get surrounded by more and more monsters in the wilds. They decide it's better to leave. But before they can leave, another monster stands above them. Killing each one of them, they need level 3 to leave the game. But how can they achieve that? Realizing that the monsters always appear in groups, they feel that they need a party of 6 or even 10 people. Another one of them points out that too many people attract a boss. And it doesn't work if they never reach level 3, they'll be trapped here forever, and right now they keep dying. Seeing our boy already at level 3, they decide to get him to level 3. If he carries them to level 3, they will give him 10 million in cash. Meanwhile, Shadow kills the polluter and finally gains enough points to evolve a greedy hand. He gains a 20 chance to upgrade loot by 1 tier, so maybe if he keeps evolving it, it will reach 100 or even 200. Shadow finds the cursed boss consuming life force to advance to silver tier boss. But even if Shadow kills him, he can't pick up his loot because his inventory is full. So he marks the spot on the map and thinks about returning after clearing the inventory first. Meanwhile, back at the safe city, other people talk about someone offering the main lead 10 million to power level them. He comes back to sell his inventory items, and the players find that he's selling bronze level equipment. They wonder why they can't see his face, and someone from the crowd points out he's using a concealment function, probably because he wants to stay mysterious. She asks Shadow for the icicle spell, and he asks for 100 days of tradable lifespan. She tries to bargain, but Shadow tells her 100 days is already a bargain when she offers to pay in real-world money. Our boy tells her to use it to buy a tradable lifespan from someone, and then trade it with him. She confirms with her teammates, and upon their agreement, she trades 100 days of lifespan for the icicle spell. Zhongli comes in asking our protagonist to help her power level to level 3 in exchange for 10 million in cash. She remembers in a past life, she was the leader of a criminal syndicate, and she used to lure people into selling their lifespan, then kidnap them for forced labor and kill those who resist. When Shadow refuses, she tries to bribe him with more luxury cars, houses, and whatever he wants, but our hero still refuses. He knows cash is worthless, and the only universal currency will be tradable lifespan. When Zhongli doesn't leave and continues to try to talk him into agreeing, Shadow threatens to kill her until her lifespan hits 0. After selling everything, Shadow decides it's time to deal with the Curse Master. No one knows yet that tradable lifespan can extract skills into reality. No one knows this forsaken game will plunge the real world into chaos. Everything people pride themselves on in the real world will soon be worthless. While Zhongli thinks about taking revenge on Shadow for threatening her, Mao Legion comes and he offers to help her level up if the offer for 10 million in cash stands. Zhongli negotiates and says since he isn't as strong as Shadow, she will pay him 5 million in cash when they return to reality. As our boy heads back to the curse boss, he finds it evolved to silver tier. Evolution from silver to gold will take at least 7 or 8 hours, and he's simply too lazy for that. A silver tier boss HP is 2 to 3 times that of a bronze tier boss, and that's only 2 or 3 venom darts from our boy. The Curse Master is a mage-type boss. Most of its skills are area attacks, and they deal high damage. If our boy hadn't escaped its attack range after throwing a venom dart, he would have been dead. He must wait until stealth's cooldown ends, then launch an attack during a lull in the boss assault. As he throws another venom dart, the monster starts to flee because its HP is nearly depleted, which makes it easier for him. Killing the Curse Master made him level up twice and gain 4 evolution points. The greedy hand directly received the bonus reward twice. The silver tier boss granted a total of 12 evolution points and 372 days of tradable lifespan. Not only that, but the greedy hand's extra effect also upgraded one of our main lead's loot items from silver tier to gold tier. However, the monster dropped 7 or 8 pieces of equipment, and his backpack only has 10 slots, and he can't keep running back to sell items, so he really needs a storage ring or something to increase slots. Wang Ming and his party members have finally reached level 3 and now celebrate this win. As the leaderboard updates Shadow's rank to 5, other players once again get shocked. They can hardly level up, and only a few have just reached level 3. However, Wang Ming suggests returning to reality to inform family and friends about the godforsaken game. As he logs off the game, he wakes up in reality. His friends gather around him, who are happy to see him awake. He tells them to gather everyone because something major is happening. Wang Ming reported everything to his superiors: how our boy saved him, how he leveled up, and how Shadow continued to level up from 3 to 5. One of them points out why our boy didn't come back to reality, and could it be that he doesn't have any close friends or family to notify? Wang Ming's boss confirms that his information matches the information from higher-ups, and there's new research that shows that some older people die not long after they fall asleep. He further adds that after collecting and comparing the data with the employees who returned to reality, many of them indeed died many times in the game. This means that if your lifespan reaches 0 in-game, you die in real life. The boss thinks they're being invaded by some unknown higher beings. The higher-ups have given an emergency command to form vanguard teams based on the location to explore the game and share information. The boss says it's a major event around the world, and all the nations are doing everything they can to explore the game. If they fall behind, it would mean losing authority in the world, so they have to obtain information at all costs. He makes Anyu the head of the team because he thinks her personality is most suitable for investigating shadows, and makes Wang Ming the vice captain and tells them to choose their own captain. He orders them to make friends with Shadow, to discover his real identity, and to obtain all information he possesses. He orders the rest of them to maintain the order of the society and dismisses the meeting. Back at the school, the students talk among themselves that as long as those in the same district sleep at the same time, they will appear in the same starter village. Xiaoyu is still thinking about Qin Feng and how he hasn't apologized to her, because he usually apologizes really quickly every time she gets upset, and she decides to not forgive him this time. However, she's glad to have seen her boyfriend yesterday because now there won't be many opportunities in the game. She quickly realizes that Song Fei will also enter the game when he sleeps, so as long as she enters the game, she can find Song Fei. Xiaoyu decides to ask Zhang Wei to help her level up since he's an expert. Zhang Wei tells her to put all her attribute points into agility even if she's a mage class, otherwise she won't be fast enough. He tells her as long as someone levels up to level 5, he can activate teleportation formation to the village. So she should form a random party, and when the teleportation formation opens, he will come and find her to help her level up. After this, Xiaoyu sleeps and thinks she won't help her brother level up when she's higher level than him, but she has no idea about his rank. Back in the game, our boy gains a rank, giving him 8 points for all attributes, equaling 32 points. This ring is equal to someone leveling up 3 levels and has a dark element resistance effect too. It will be useful for Shadow against many monsters. The weak point attack multiplier also begins at 15 with this ring. Another AoE attack skill can teleport or even turn Shadow invisible. And with the evolution points left, he decides to evolve his greedy hand first. Killing mobs now will give our boy 2 pieces of loot. Killing 1 is now equal to killing 3. He uses the rest of the points to raise instant Shadow Slash by 3 tiers. However, the upgrade has no effect on the cooldown time, but just by relying on instant Shadow Slash, he can become invisible infinitely. The level 4 limb crawlers attack Shadow, making it a perfect time to test the power of instant Shadow Slash. The efficiency of killing monsters has increased for Shadow now. He only needs to use 2 venom darts to kill a monster. The shortened battle time also reduces the chance of incidents. Right now Shadow has 618 days of lifespan he can trade, but to bring his equipment and skills to reality, he has to use at least 900 days of tradable lifespan, so he decides to go back first and sell all the items in his bag. Then he will reach the minimum lifespan required. Once he levels up to level 10, he will be able to bring the skills and equipment in the game to reality. Mao Lujin helps Zhonglin reach level 3 and asks her to pay him. She gives him her contact and tells him to directly contact her when she goes back to reality. She asks him to sell her tradable lifespan as well, in exchange for 10,000 for every day of lifespan. Mao Lujin happily agrees, thinking he's a genius for converting gaming abilities into real-life money. Our main lead activates the teleportation formation in Shelltown, but right now it's of no use. The teleportation formation in the beginner's town is 2-way, so until someone reaches level 5 and activates one in another town, it's of no use. Shadow remembers in his previous life Song Fei was in Firefly, so he decides to set up an alert that will notify him when someone activates the Firefly town's teleportation formation. However, Shadow's main goal is to level up to level 10 and then head to the God's Abandoned Realm. That is where the godforsaken game truly begins. As he goes back to Shelltown to sell his equipment, the players swarm over him as if they were waiting for his arrival. The last items he sold proved to be a success, so more and more people wanted to buy, and in less than a minute he sold everything. He received 650 days of tradable lifespan, making a total of 2,174. But it's still not enough if he wants to bring his level, attributes, profession, and equipment back to reality. As he's about to leave, one of the players approaches him with a space ring. The ring is a special storage equipment, and its value lies in not occupying the ring or backpack equipment slots, and every player can only carry at most 3 storage backpacks. The ring is extremely rare. In the past, 12 slots like this could sell for 3,600 days. However, the girl says she doesn't want a lifespan. She wants him to add her as a friend and ask him to form a party to kill one boss. Shadow agrees and asks her the name of the boss. She tells him she couldn't see the name, but it's a gold-tier boss, and it was a boat in the swamp that looked tattered. Our hero realizes it could be the Golden Ghost ship. It is a rare special boss that could appear at any level. The appearance of this boss is extremely low, and it drops some very useful special equipment. Every time the Golden Ghost ship appears, a fierce battle will break out among various guilds because of it. The town it appears in should be level 5, and it is the easiest to kill. To bump into the Golden Ghost ship in the beginner village, one needs to receive the rare storage ring and also be a member of Wang Meng's party. Our boy realizes she could be the rumored koi fish in his past life. She tells him that after finishing her meal offline, she wanted to go online and level up with her party, but they were slow. So she started to stroll around, and that's when she discovered the gold-tier boss in Shadow's past life. It was a rumor that Wang Meng's party had a member like her. When wandering around, she could encounter rare bosses, treasure chests, underground palaces, and temples. At first, he thought it was a smokescreen to cover up the information, but he didn't expect her to be real. Meanwhile, a spy was listening to the whole conversation, and he ran back to his boss to report that our boy had brought a girl out of town. Shadow tells Koi Fish that he can help to fight the boss, but if the boss drops any equipment and skill books, he will give them to her. The rest he will take with him. After some negotiating, Koi Fish suggests that if there's any equipment for Captain Wang Meng and the rest, he sells it to them at a discount after the deal is done. Our protagonist suggests fighting the gold-tier boss. But Koi Fish argues that he's an assassin, but she's a mage. She can't tank the boss if it attacks her. Shadow assures her that he alone can fight the boss, and she can watch from a safe distance. This surprises Koi Fish because although he is very strong, killing a gold-tier boss alone seems ridiculous to her. As Koi Fish is still in her thoughts, our boy turns invisible. The thugs who were following them from behind think he left the girl alone and run to capture her. But our boy was lurking beside them and killed them. However, he only got 12 days of lifespan from the poor guys. Shadow becomes visible again and tells the girl a few people were following them, so he went to send them back to town. As she chatters about his invisible ability and how convenient it would be for him to go to the toilet, he cuts her off and tells her to lead him to the boss. Xiaoyu finally enters the game and is struck by how real everything feels. As a bonus, she's obtained a hidden class, Priestess. She knows how powerful this class is and believes it will make her worthy of standing beside her glorious brother. Song Fei. She worries briefly about what he might be doing inside the game, but even when her real brother comes to mind, the thought fades quickly. She curses Qin Feng for being overbearing and lifeless. Convinced she doesn't need him anymore, Zhang Wei has already promised to help her level up, and in her eyes, her brother might as well disappear for good. But when she checks the leaderboard, she notices a player named Shadow already sitting at level 6. The sight makes her doubt Zhang Wei's claims of expertise. Compared to him, Shadow looks far superior, and if she can track this Shadow down, she's certain she'll progress in the game faster. Before she can make a move, she overhears a nearby party discussing their recent defeat. They're frustrated and admit they need a healer. Sensing her chance, Xiaoyu steps forward, introducing herself as a hidden class, life sacrifice, and insists she'll be extremely useful. Meanwhile, Shadow heads toward the cliffside with hay and spots the Golden Ghost ship drifting in the distance. He warns Little Black to stay hidden and watch for ambushes while he handles the boss alone. Before the girl can object, he vanishes into thin air and lands on the river below. The ship's domain has twisted the area into a violent space where lifespan loss occurs at 100 times the usual rate and is the equivalent of consuming a full day of life. The Golden Ghost ship is a level 5 enemy, and the countdown timer shows 45 minutes remaining, so that's a relief for Shadow, who knows that special bosses always come with a time limit, and this time is more than enough. He activates Instant Shadow and the Venom Dart follows immediately, then Stealth Break Strike. The combo tears off a large portion of the Golden Ghost's health, though it still has plenty left. Shadow knows from experience that most players make a very common mistake here. The real weakness isn't the skeleton or the ship, but the ghost fire bell fixed to the vessel's tip. But once struck, the ghost gets control of the surrounding water and launches a massive water strike. The water pillars it summons deal devastating damage, and even early warriors in silver tier armor can barely survive a single hit. Fortunately, Shadow's agility lets him dodge like a pro. The next danger comes after the water attack. The ghost summons 12 decaying water ghosts, each one as strong as a silver tier monster. They appear within seconds, attacking in tight formation, and the worst part is that the boss can repeat the summoning cycle, producing full parties of 12 again and again. Shadow slips into invisibility and the ghouls can't sense him, so all he needs is the right angle to take them out cleanly. Xiaohei is only a level 3 healer, so this is all very new to her, so she watches in shock. She never imagined someone this powerful would be in her team, and now she understands why Shadow is ranked number 1. Then Shadow calls out to her, saying he's about to die. She doesn't believe him at first, but he tells her to wait and he'll revive soon. She can't understand anything that's going on, and while she's processing this, the party they just defeated respawns. They are jealous and angry and rush toward Hei, convinced Shadow must be nearby. Shadow is already preparing for the next stage. He knows that the fourth and most dangerous part of the fight is about to begin. When the Golden Ghost ship's health drops below half, it unleashes a soul wave. The wide-range blast immobilizes everyone for 5 seconds, and not even his invisibility can save him from it. When it hits, he gets trapped, and the ship's strike lands hard, draining a chunk of his XP and killing him outright, and he loses 326 non-tradable years of life. The rival party laughs, smug at seeing Shadow fall. To them, he wasn't so powerful after all. They assume the boss must now be weakened and charged toward the skeleton. But before they can even touch him, they're all wiped out in an instant and sent back to heaven. The party returns to their town, confused and angry. They didn't expect the boss to be that strong, but they don't want to give up, so they head back to try again. Shadow also returns to the battleground and greets Hei. She's shocked to see him so soon and tells him that she just saw a group rush in screaming, only to be wiped out by a water blast. Shadow remembers how badly he suffered in a past life fighting the Golden Ghost ship, but now from experience he knows its immobilization skill can only be used once. After that, the second half of the fight will become very easy for him. Right now, the ship has less than half of its HP left, so if he attacks it now, there's a chance it'll vanish and respawn somewhere far, so he needs to end this swiftly. He throws poison darts and hits the front bells of the ship. Then he uses the Shadow Step because he has already tracked the ghost ship's path. Meanwhile, the same clueless party returns, trying to jump in and take down both Shadow and the ship, but Hei won't let that happen. She uses her power and strikes them with thunder, but that just angers them more. The group then charges at her and she runs for life. Elsewhere, a second group of vulture warriors hides behind the trees, watching everything unfold and waiting for the perfect time to attack. The boss is finally about to die, and the fight has also been dragged on too long, because other players have started to take notice and have the intentions to rob him of the loot. But Shadow is no saint to share his earnings, so after a few quick shift moves, he finishes off the Golden Ghost ship and earns 4,800 XP, reaches level 8, and gets 7 evolution points. He also receives the title of the world's first gold rank boss killer. The system-wide announcement goes live, and everyone who sees it is at loss for words. No one expected someone at their level to pull that off, and most of these noobs can't even handle basic monsters. Meanwhile, the nearby robbers get greedy. They stare at the loot and want it for themselves. Their leader calls over his warrior, Aguang, and tells him to find and kill Shadow before he escapes. Aguang uses his Phantom Eagle skill to scout the area, but he doesn't realize that Shadow is already operating on a much higher level than anyone expects, so he can't detect him. When the group sees no one around, they assume Shadow has already run off and they rush in to claim the loot, but they still need to wait 5 minutes before they can access it. However, they're not that lucky. With just a few slashes and flicks of his sword, Shadow kills them all, thinking now he can enjoy what he earned. There he notices his little black isn't there, and he makes a mental note to check on her later. Looking at his evolution points, both the leftover ones and those he just earned, he realizes he has just enough to evolve the scale of Greedy Hand. Using Greedy Hand, he gathers all the life spares and detonates them in one go. He gains 21 evolution points, a large number of tradable life days, and a special item which is phantom fireballs, which are quite rare to get when equipped. They prevent life day loss on death, but they come with a cooldown of 1800 seconds. He can also shake them to immobilize all enemies within 100 meters for 300 seconds. Since they're items and not gear, they don't take up equipment slots. The two bells only use one inventory slot, making them even more convenient for him. He is busy collecting his loot when he hears that his friend is in trouble and is screaming for help. Shadow tries to ask where Hei is, but it's already too late. She's cornered at the edge of a mountain with the hooligan party moving in to hurt her, but Hei refuses to give them the satisfaction, and without hesitation, she jumps off the cliff and dies instantly. The group is stunned because she chose death over them moments later. Shadow receives her secret transmission. Hei tells him not to come looking, because she has already respawned in town and will meet him there for the item exchange. Shadow checks his loot, and it's a huge success. He gains 315 tradable life days, 21 evolution points, and enough resources to evolve Greedy Hand, but he knows higher level skills cost more now, so upgrades aren't cheap. He decides to prioritize damage. 8 points go into Instant Splash, and 10 into Backstab Booster. With that, Instant Splash now deals double damage, and without breaking stealth, it can land over 3000 damage in one strike once stealth breaks. His 7-hit combo can reach 7000 damage. Normally gold bosses drop 24 silver items with a small chance at gold gear. With Greedy Hand, Shadow pulls far more. He gets 11 gold items, several skill books, 2 platinum items, and even a platinum skill book. Among them is the Ghost Ship Twin Blades, a platinum assassin weapon that strikes twice with every basic attack. He also secures Phantom Fire leather armor, which boosts his HP by 419 and enhances stealth. Now low-level players won't even come close to scratching him. To stay under the radar, he hides the armor and keeps the default Shadow class appearance so others won't dig into his stats next. He opens the Spectral Mist Gold Assassin skill book. Most players avoid this skill because failing to dodge lowers other stats, but Shadow has no such concern. Since he can evolve skills endlessly, enhancing evasion doesn't come with drawbacks for him. It's a pure benefit. With everything secured, he heads back to town to sell his haul on the road. Shadow crosses paths with the same hooligans who chase the moment they see him. They panic and run, but he's faster. Even as they beg for mercy, he doesn't stop. He kills them all in a single strike and earns the title Killer Level 1 when he finally enters town. The crowd reacts with shock. They're scared, curious, and impressed, but when they see him in plain gear, their confusion spreads. He doesn't look like someone with that much power. Soon after, the party that tried to rob him earlier returns. Their leader Dongfang Xian steps forward and apologizes. As a peace offering, they hand over an assassin skill book they purchased using their lifetimes. Shadow accepts it without a word. It's only Piercing Strike, a common skill. The rest of the party is furious because they paid with their lives for a skill, only for it to be handed to the man who killed them, but their leader insists it's a smart move. Shadow is leveling up too fast and doing it solo, so suspicion grows that he's hiding something. Their strategy is simple. Wait for him to log off, track him in real life, lock him up, and force him to reveal the secret. If that fails, they'll try another angle. Send a woman to charm the truth out of him. Judging by his accent, they think he isn't from their circle, probably just a broke outsider. That makes him an easier target. All they need is the right woman, someone too tempting for him to resist. Meanwhile, Shadow meets up with He, whom he thinks is a lucky person for him, and hands over a scale and a necklace. Both items multiply her damage and double her mana regen. She's overjoyed, and Shadow tells her it was a pleasure doing business. She then tells him that while running through the forest earlier, she stumbled upon what looked like the entrance to some ruins. That immediately catches Shadow's interest, and he figures she might know hidden spots where elite monsters spawn, so she's worth keeping close. He asks where Wang Meng is, since he wants to finish his sales before heading out, but he explains that the captain and the others are busy training a new clerk, so they won't be around for a while. She marked the ruin entrance on the map and says there's a stone slab hidden in a bush. She moved it to get inside, but the moment she stepped in, she heard horrible screams and ran back out. Shadow thinks it's too tempting to wait, so he decides to deal with Meng later and heads to the ruins. Now he teleports instantly, thinking he was planning to grind his way to level 10, but luckily the ruins will get him there quite faster. Apparently, in the starter village, 3 types of ruins can spawn: catacombs, cursed ruins, and temples of faith, but it doesn't matter which one it is because even the weakest enemies inside are bronze or silver rank, and for Shadow that means high lifetime drops and more evolution points as Shadow moves inside. He explains that monsters in cursed ruins are cursed by ancient and evil gods. Some were once human but lost their minds or turned into ghosts after death. And clearing either cursed or temple ruins rewards a special item or a skill book. Shadow looks at the murals on the wall and quickly figures out he's in a temple of faith. The art looks familiar, and then it clicks that this is the faith temple of the ancient god of judgment, the same origin as his Eye of Judgment skill. Meanwhile, Meng and his party are fighting monsters. The leader gets injured, and everyone yells at Xiaoyu to heal him. But she freezes, starts crying, and asks how she's supposed to do it. Suddenly, a red monster drops from the sky, and they all shout for her to use her skill. But instead of casting, she throws down her wand and sobs, saying she's scared. Back in town, everyone is rightfully furious at Xiaoyu. Hei runs up to them, saying she just had a small mission with Shadow, and he'll be back later to exchange goods. But they ignore her and focus on Xiaoyu, calling her useless. The healer steps in and defends her, saying it's normal for a new player to panic in battle. One guy argues that they didn't die once, in fact, they died 3 times because of her. Hei tells them Xiaoyu has gold level armor now, so they should give her another chance in the field. She's sure Xiaoyu can help. Meng agrees and says it's worth a try. Xiaoyu apologizes on the surface, but inside, she's bitter. She thinks they're the ones who are incompetent and just blaming her because she's new. And if they didn't know Shadow, she wouldn't even waste her time on them. Meanwhile, Shadow walks deeper into the ruins and spots 2 monsters praying at the altar. They're level 10 silver tier, devout followers of the ancient god of judgment. He uses instant Shadow Slash to break their prayer and deals heavy damage. Even after breaking stealth and landing a backstab, they only lose a small chunk of HP as expected of silver tier level 10 bosses. Their combined health is already more than the gold tier ghost ship he defeated earlier, but then both monsters kneel again, this time facing his direction. Shadow thinks it's a glitch since he's still in invisible mode. A random thought hits him, maybe they sensed his Eye of Judgment skill and that's why they didn't attack. So he speaks, asking if they know the way and can guide him, but their blank expressions say otherwise. Shadow quickly realizes they're no longer sane. Their bodies are decomposed and their minds are corrupted, and they're now wild beasts who only know how to steal lifespan and can't speak anymore. Still, when they look into his eyes, they panic and suddenly run. Not from him, but toward something else. Shadow hears a group entering from another path. They're shouting about monsters headed their way, saying they're silver tier. Shadow watches them and recognizes one girl. She's the one who bought Ice Spike from him, and her name is Grey Rose. He's surprised they found the ruins, but judging by their gear, they're not ready to go deep inside, let alone fight silver tier enemies. In seconds, they're all wiped out. Shadow watches at their carelessness. They drop 100 days of tradable lifespan, and he figures they must be loaded. The devoutes kneel again in front of him, but Shadow knows there's nothing worth exploring here. No traps, no hidden rooms, just 2 corrupted silver mini-bosses. So he finishes them off and earns 4000 XP, pushing him to level 9. He activates Greedy Hand and gets 32 evolution points, 1504 days of tradable lifespan, for gold tier items, 10 silver tier items, and a rare assassin item. Pendant of the Faithful. It's a gold tier accessory with 15 agility, 20 cooldown reduction, and a unique effect that lets him summon a silver tier devout follower to fight alongside him. The necklace has good stats, and 20 cooldown reduction brings his stealth cooldown from 226 seconds to 192 seconds. Poison Dart goes from 43 to 37 seconds, and instant Shadow Slash drops from 104 to 88 seconds. His grinding gets smoother overall. The gear also requires level 8, so no one else can use it yet. He decides to hold on to it and maybe sell it later. Suddenly something shifts. A small pole rises from the ground, and Shadow realizes the mechanism has activated now that the monsters are cleared. Shadow walks up to the small pillar to inspect it and realizes it's actually a lift. He descends about 300,400 meters when the lift stops. He finds himself in a maze hidden beneath the temple. This kind of maze under a temple is common, and there's always a certain chance of it appearing. He has explored many of these in his previous life to know that the maze is full of traps, but as long as there are people to act as cannon fodder, it's not too dangerous. The only problem is that it takes a lot of time. Exploring alone is risky because one wrong move can mean instant death. Fortunately, he has the Pendant of the Faithful that lets him summon a silver tier follower to fight alongside him. He summons a devout and tells him to scout ahead while he quietly follows the path. Looks easy at first, but he stays alert since danger can appear at any time. While walking, he uses 11 of his evolution points to upgrade his Ghost Shadow Blur from Gold to Epic Tier. The Epic upgrade gives him a 75 passive dodge rate, and when the dodge activates, it gives him full damage immunity. A 75 dodge rate is already high, and with that effect, it's a strong defense tool. He uses the rest of his points to evolve Instant Shadow Slash to Epic Tier as well. This upgrade increases the slash width to 5 meters and adds 400 extra damage. He remembers that upgrading from Epic to Legendary Tier costs 10 times the evolution points, so the higher the starting tier of a skill, the more cost-effective it is to evolve. He still has 11 evolution points left, so he uses them on his starter skill. Shadow Sneak. His cooldown reduction stat lowers cooldowns by 35, but even then, the final cooldown for Shadow Sneak is 3 seconds, which is still too long. Its stealth-breaking damage is also low, so he plans to replace the skill soon. While he's busy adjusting everything, his devout follower walks ahead and accidentally steps on a wrong stone. A giant boulder drops and crushes him instantly. Shadow watches and says, "Hell, wait for the cooldown before summoning him again." The maze is complex and full of traps, so he can only move slowly. All he hopes is that whatever's waiting at the end is worth the effort. Meanwhile, in the upper layer of the temple, Grey Rose and her party return and notice that 2 monsters are gone. When they check the surroundings, they also realize that the lifespan those monsters held has vanished. That means someone killed them and took the rewards. At this stage, only an expert like Shadow could defeat 2 silver tier bosses, so they all agree it must have been him. They also understand they won't be able to fight or die again here, since the monsters are already gone. Grey Rose recalls hearing a person earlier who looked like he was talking to the monsters. That memory sticks out now. It might have been Shadow. And if that's true, then maybe he even has a skill that lets him control or bewitch bosses. If that's the case, then the kind of power he holds is hard to imagine and honestly pretty terrifying. Meanwhile, the summoned devouts keep getting killed again and again while Shadow slowly makes his way through the maze. After about 3 hours of exploring, he finally reaches the end. He summons another devout follower and sends him forward. Eventually, they arrive at a large stone door. He asks the devout to open it, but he can't, so he steps forward himself, touches the door, and it opens. Inside, he sees a chest placed at the center of the room, surrounded by scattered coins. The chest is locked, and beside it stands an NPC. Shadow looks at her closely but finds no name, no stats, and no visible details. The woman speaks in an ancient language he doesn't understand, and then slowly begins to fade away. At the same time, the thorns on the treasure chest vanish too. Shadow guesses that she must be connected to the Eye of Judgment somehow. Even if he can't confirm it yet, he shifts his attention to the chest. Its golden glow signals epic tier loot, but he stays cautious. There's always a risk of a trap or a mimic disguised as a reward. To be safe, he sends the devout to open it. The mindless zombie reaches out and lifts the lid. Inside, Shadow sees a skill book for assassins. It's a rare god-tier skill that includes both active and passive abilities, and from the first glance, he already knows this is not just a regular find. The book is called Pistol of Mercy and includes a passive effect that improves weak point hit correction by 100 and doubles the weak damage multiplier. Along with that, he also gets Slit Throat, an active skill that applies a powerful debuff. The next time he attacks, the target takes 100 of that attack's damage every second for 3 seconds. The skill has a cooldown of 60 seconds. The passive also doubles the size of the enemy's weak spot hitbox, making it much easier to land critical hits, but the real value is in Slit Throat. For example, if his next attack deals 300 damage, the debuff adds 300 damage per for 3 seconds, stacking up to a total of 1200 damage. That's 4 times the original hit, making it one of the most overpowered assassin combos he's picked up so far. He can cast Instant Shadow Slash and land multiple hits, but Slit Throat only applies the debuff to the first strike. Still, since it's an epic tier, it only needs 10 evolution points to reach legendary status. This loot is a major win for him, and now his burst damage has jumped by several times. And all of this is thanks to Little Black, which is why he decides to sell the extra loot to her party as a way of returning the favor. He uses secret transmission to contact Little Black and tells her to ask their leader, Wang Men, to return to town because he has some items to sell. The girl is shocked that he's already done exploring the ruins, but the team quickly returns to town. As soon as Shadow arrives, players gather around him. Trying to win his attention, they call him Big Brother, ask for advice, and act friendly, hoping he'll take them under his wing. And they're not just from Firefly Town anymore. Players from Underwater Town and Azure Wave Town have also shown up. The teleportation gates between towns seem to have been activated, and now he can freely move between them, including Song Fe's Firefly Town. Just then, he disappears again, leaving the townspeople confused, but Shadow is actually still around. Hiding in plain sight, he finds his lucky charm, and together they meet up with Wang Men. There, he notices Xiaoyu has joined their party. This confuses him because someone like her could drag down such a good team, but he knows he has to stay cautious now with everyone knowing about Shadow. He can't risk revealing his real identity. In the real world, without powers, even a kitchen knife could kill him while his body sleeps. Xiaoyu rushes over and starts flirting, saying he looks even more powerful in reality. She thinks that if she sticks close to him, she'll meet her idol Song Fe within days. Shadow completely ignores her and proceeds with the trade. He exchanges top-tier skill books and items for 2,200 days of lifespan. Wang Meng says the items are too expensive for them because most are silver and gold tier, and they don't have enough. But Shadow tells him he's giving them on credit, and they can pay him later. The leader is confused by this kindness and doesn't understand why Shadow is helping them, so he makes an offer that if Shadow ever needs anything, they'll be ready to support him whenever he asks. Everyone checks out their new gold tier gear and skills and instantly feels more powerful and grateful toward Shadow. They admire the stats, excited to finally be able to take on stronger monsters. But Xiaoyu is the only one who doesn't receive anything. Meng tells her that there's nothing for priests in the loot they got, and the rest of the team shrugs it off. They say she's lucky she's even getting free XP just by tagging along. Xiaoyu then walks up to Shadow and complains, saying she's a priest too and should get equipment. She even sends him a friend request. Her in-game name is Little Graceful, which Shadow finds ironic considering her attitude. Once again, he completely ignores her. Without saying a word or even looking her way, he vanishes, leaving the crowd confused but also relieved. Everyone quietly celebrates the fact that he ignored her on purpose and walked away like a hero. Meanwhile, Shadow knows he actually has a gold tier priest staff and even a gold tier priest skill book in his inventory, but he would rather choke on his own blood than give those to his ungrateful sister. As he levels up, he knows he'll collect tons of extra gear and skill books, and selling them one by one would waste too much time. Meng's connection to the authorities is perfect for bulk selling and storage. Still, he can't let Xiaoyu ruin his cooperation with them, so he needs to find a proper replacement for her. Someone competent. That's when he remembers Guishue, the former manager of the Gold Slayer Guild. In his past life, she played a hidden priest class called the White Avian Priestess, which comes with a white bird companion that can heal and apply buffs. She's exactly the kind of support unit Meng's team needs. She was the only priest Shadow knew who could solo epic tier bosses. And in his eyes, she's a true powerhouse, completely opposite of Xiaoyu, who's just dead weight. Then it hits him. Little Shui is also from Firefly Town, the same place as Song Fe. Now he has two reasons to head there, and it's the perfect setup, two birds with one stone. Without wasting time, he heads toward the teleportation gate. As he steps through, he stays in invisible mode, keeping his presence hidden, but as soon as he arrives in Firefly Town, something feels off. The streets are quiet, too quiet. He listens closely and hears panicked voices. Apparently the two men were just killed and are planning to head back to the battlefield, because the silver tier boss they were fighting is now below half health and they don't want someone else to take the kill and steal the rewards. They also mention that Song Fe is over there with his usual crowd of fangirls, and they need to hurry before a bunch of fans throw themselves into a fight they can't handle just to impress a mid-tier idol. Shadow is surprised that in just a few seconds he already has so much info on Song Fe, so he decides to follow them quietly. They reach Wailing Alley, a level 5 zone where monsters like the Emberdeaned and Shackled roam. In the center, Shadow spots a twin-headed silver tier boss covered in amber scales. But the real chaos isn't the boss, it's the players attacking each other while trying to land hits on it. Then, Song Fe arrives, completely surrounded by his personal army of fangirls. Like they're a moving shield. Players around them yell out insults, calling him a thief who ambushed them and stole their lifespan. They swear they'll end him right here. But before anyone can touch Song Fe, a tank mage rushes in and smashes someone into the ground with her staff, shouting that no one's allowed to hurt her. Appa Song Fe holds the title of Heaven-Defying Mage God and has a mage class. In Shadow's past life, he remembers how Song Fe tricked dozens of fangirls into choosing the mage class. Once they got decent skills and gear, he took everything from them and boosted his own power. The team had no real balance, but his fans found ways to compensate. Some dumped all points into intelligence and became glass cannon mages. Some focused on agility to act as disruptors. Others stacked health to tank hits. and a few tried to become battle mages by boosting strength and swinging their staffs like clubs. Shadow recalls that early in the game this setup worked well. Song Fei's team ran wild, stealing lifespan from anyone they came across. No one could stand against them, but as the game progressed, most of his fangirls started dying off both in-game and in real life, and every time one died, Song Fei gained more untradeable, draining them until nothing was left. Shadow is completely right in thinking that, because on the battlefield, Song Fei is pushing his fangirls to fight for him without saying it directly. He acts like he cares for them and talks about wanting peace and love in the world. But in truth, he is stirring them up to battle in his place. It turns out this fandom is even crazier than Shadow anticipated, because they have songs and chants for him as if he is some kind of god. The fangirls throw themselves at Silver Tier Monster, and when the monster tries to strike at Song Fei, they rush in to block it and sacrifice themselves, saying they will always stay crazy for him. One maid shouts to her sisters to fight harder because they have to beat Shadow and make sure their brother takes the top spot. As expected, the chanting starts again, their voices rising over and over. Meanwhile, Song Fei sees that the Silver Tier boss is close to dying, but he still thinks about how Shadow somehow managed to solo a Gold Tier boss to him. It is impossible to take down that kind of monster alone. He convinces himself that Shadow must be abusing a bug or has a huge group helping him, because at level 7, there is no way someone could be that good. Song Fei tells himself that once he takes down this Silver Tier boss, he will hit level 8. Since Shadow has been stuck at level 9 for so long, he will pass him in one go and take the number 1 spot in the game, but he is wrong. Shadow is not thinking about levels at all. He only wants to remove the pest in front of him. In the next moment, someone grabs Song Fei's head and rips it from his body. It is Shadow, arriving with an instant Shadow Slash, wiping out Song Fei and his entire fandom in one strike. The other players who are also fighting the Silver Tier boss look at Shadow's skull mask and cannot believe he deals thousands of damage in a single strike. He is insanely strong and far beyond their level. Without a second thought, they back away and leave the loot for the expert, knowing he killed Song Fei and his gang. And did everyone here a favor? The crowd starts cheering for him, but Shadow thinks they are only scared he will turn on them, so they are trying to butter him up. Meanwhile, back in town, Song Fei cannot believe he died so easily. He wonders why Shadow would single him out of hundreds of starter towns in the city. His fangirls are just as upset, rushing to him and saying that Shadow must have felt threatened by him, so he had to get rid of him. They call Shadow a scumbag for doing so. Just then, an archer approaches Song Fei, saying she has eagle eye to detect stealth and wants to join his party. One of the fangirls quickly rejects her, saying they only accept mages. They add that her low XP would hurt her brother's ranking climb. But Song Fei stops them right away and slips back into his usual manipulation, telling the girls they are all family and that love can conquer everything. He turns to the archer and says he can feel her passion, and it does not matter that she is an archer. She should join them so they can all grow stronger together as expected. The archer breaks into tears, crying and sniffling that she is crazy for her brother. Soon, more girls from other professions come forward, and Song Fei expands his army while the girls sing about how precious and loving their brother is and how they will take revenge on Shadow. All the men in other teams look at the fangirls and think they have completely lost it. Meanwhile, Song Fei is gloating over his growing success, thinking that with so many witnesses, once he kills Shadow, the world will see that no matter how strong a lone wolf is, it means nothing. A squishy assassin is nothing compared to a noble mage like him. On the other side, Shadow uses Greedy Hand to collect 16 evolution points and 217 tradable lifespan. He evolves Bestowal of Mercy, which now makes his target's weak spots twice as large. If it gets any bigger, half the enemy's body will count as a weak point, and even his instant Shadow Slash might trigger weak point damage. Throat Slit also gets a big boost, with its cooldown dropping from 30 seconds to 25 seconds, giving him a real chance to one-shot a Gold Tier boss. An initial Epic Tier skill costs 0 evolution points to upgrade to Legendary, but going from Legendary to Mythic costs 100 times more in his system. Now it would take 200 points to reach Mythic. Following that pattern, upgrading Greedy Hand from Epic to Legendary would cost about 210 points, and to Mythic would cost over 3,400 points. That's impossible right now since he only has 9 points left, so he upgrades Backstab Enhancement instead. Killing the Silver Tier boss and a bunch of players gives him over 1,400 days of tradable lifespan in total. With everything settled, he decides it's time to go back. But suddenly someone attacks him. Shadow quickly identifies her and dodges at the last moment, making her miss all her strikes. He then looks up and sees an army of fangirls standing on top of the mountain, chanting for his death and swearing they will avenge their brother Song Fei and his untimely end. But Shadow does not have time for all their chants and songs for their idol, so he activates his stealth. The new archer, full of confidence in her skills, smirks and says it's useless because they can detect him no matter what. She sends her eagle flying overhead to reveal his location, but there is no sign of him anywhere. Suddenly they spot a figure, and without hesitation, they all rush in and unleash their strongest skills at once, shouting that they will take him down. But it turns out the figure is part of their own army and is the assassin they sent to kill Shadow. One of the older mages quickly tries to justify her death, saying she was never a mage to begin with, which means she never truly loved Song Fei, and then she tells the archer to use her eagle eye again to find Shadow. Meanwhile, Shadow uses his Ghostfire Bell to freeze every enemy for 3 seconds. Everyone realizes they cannot move, and they start to panic, and with an instant Shadow Slash, Shadow wipes them all out. He is still in stealth when he notices Song Fei hiding behind a mountain. Wondering why his entire army is dead and feeling fear grip him, Shadow leans close and whispers in his ear that he is already dead, and Song Fei instantly throws up his magic shield to protect himself. But it is useless because Shadow drives his blade in and takes out his eyes. Shadow then realizes Song Fei has used a lifespan skill on him, and after calculating, he knows he had over 2,000 tradable lifespan, but none of fangirls have any tradable lifespan, which means they gave every last bit to Song Fei. They think this game is just a game, but it is scary how brainwashed they are. Shadow thinks it is such a waste because all that non-tradable lifespan adds up to centuries, and now it will just be monster feed. Song Fei and his army respawn back in the town, and Song Fei starts to panic, saying he only has 500 days of tradable lifespan left now because of Shadow. He angrily asks the archer why she did not use her detection skills to find him. The archer cries, saying she did, but it only found their assassin sister. Another mage says maybe Shadow's stealth level is too high. Song Fei thinks that means Shadow can come and go without a trace, and he cannot defend against that, but he also tells himself that he did not provoke Shadow and already stole his boss kill, so Shadow should not come after him. Then he convinces himself maybe Shadow is just jealous of his looks. He says for everyone's safety they should change spots to farm levels, and all his fangirls shout that wherever their brother goes they will follow. A while later, Shadow returns to Firefly Town, still in stealth mode, and sees that Song Fei and his group are gone. They might have left town or logged off. He asks a nearby passerby where they went, and the man says Song Fei went in a certain direction and tells Shadow to go kill him, but with one request: when Shadow kills him, he should spare his girlfriend. Her name is Fibo Kitty, a female archer. Shadow realizes this girlfriend is the same one who was detecting stealth earlier and thinks the guy should just get himself a new one because she is long gone. Shadow leaves, knowing that even if he has the direction, he does not know their destination, and searching blindly would waste too much time. If he could find Guishue, his troubles would be over just then. He spots the girl he has been looking for, and steps right in front of her, asking if she can help him. Ishue bursts into a blush, unable to believe Shadow is standing in front of her, but he gets straight to the point and says he heard she can search for targets over a wide area, so she needs to find Song Fei's for him. As payment, he will sell her a gold tear staff very cheaply. Ishue asks how he knows she can do such a search because she never told anyone. Shadow tells her not to worry about that, and the girl says she might not be able to afford it, and Shadow asks if she can give him 500 days because the original price is around 800, and she accepts. They complete the transaction, and Ishue is practically drooling over her new staff. Shadow snaps her out of it and tells her to hurry. Ishue asks if he is not scared that she will just run away with the staff, but Shadow says that as a matter of fact she too hates Song Fei. Ishue then asks if he is her friend from real life because his voice sounds familiar to her. She does not wait for his answer and quickly summons her owl. She takes off into the sky, and within moments she is able to locate Song Fei. Ishue gives Song Fei's coordinates but also tells him that she cannot guarantee they will stay there, and they might move by the time he arrives. Shadow tells her to add him as a friend so she can keep tracking them and update him on their location because he will not take more than a moment to finish him. Shadow heads toward the desert, but something else catches his eye and Ishue notices it and asks what is stopping him. Shadow tells her to look around and see if there are any other trees like this nearby. Ishue scans the area and spots 2 more trees forming a triangle. Shadow walks up to the tree in front of him and touches the strange symbol carved into it. As soon as he does, a glowing triangle forms between all 3 trees, and a jade tier treasure chest slowly rises from the ground. Shadow thinks he is very lucky to find an ancient god's blessing in this forgotten village, and even luckier that it spawned a chest. Ancient gods' blessings can appear anywhere in the godforsaken land. Some areas have strange symbols, and activating all of them unlocks the blessing. Some blessings summon powerful monster bosses. Others bring hordes of weaker monsters. Some give treasure chests, and some even grant unique rewards. Ishue realizes that the chest must be worth at least 10,000 days of lifespan. Shadow thinks that her guess is not bad because in his past life, the exchange rate for tradable lifespan was around 1 to 100 to 1 to 10,000, and by the second day, the rate had already risen to more than 1 to 50,000. Ishue watches closely and says that she needs to memorize exactly what he just did because with her scouting skills, she might be able to find a lot more of these chests. Inside the chest, Shadow finds an item called Blossoming Curse, and even he does not know what kind of skill it is. The description says that when used on a player corpse that has been dead for less than 15 seconds, it will cause a curse flower to rise from the body, and it will keep draining the target's total lifespan until it reaches 0, and it has no cooldown. Shadow instantly realizes this must be that one broken skill he heard rumors about but never actually knew the details. With this skill, he can drain every last bit of lifespan out of a player. That means Songfei's good days are over. Shadow vows that this time he will hunt him until he logs off. Then he will rush to level 10, extract his abilities into reality, and kill Songfei for good in the real world as well. Meanwhile, Songfei and his army are fighting a monster. Songfei thinks they have run so far that Shadow will never be able to chase them out here. Once he grinds to a higher level here, he will settle the score with that person. One of his mages points out that someone nearby is fighting a boss, and Songfei immediately says they look like fans from another idol. As if something explodes in these girls' heads, they all start to scream and screech like animals, saying all these fans are pests and they must be eliminated right away because their idol messed with their brother's ranking. The other party has no idea what is about to hit them. They are just preparing for the boss to die when Songfei suddenly charges in as if they are the enemy. The healer from the other side tries to knock some sense into them, but the fangirls are too far gone. In reality, the other party is not even a fan of their rival idol. Songfei just lied, but it is too late because they instantly kill the girl as well and start chanting their idol's name while taking down the boss. Songfei starts to drool at the sight of all the loot and thanks his family in an attempt to manipulate them. They all start crying, saying that he should never have to thank them, and the boy starts to take his loot. Shadow is also watching them. He instantly goes into stealth mode, and before Songfei can even realize what happened, he is already dead as his fangirls cry and scream at the sight of their brother's headless corpse. Shadow then uses the Blossoming Curse, and a strange flower blooms inside Songfei's body. But this time there is no one who can save him. Songfei returns to his town and starts to scream because it feels like Shadow has some kind of vendetta against him, but he does not know why. He wonders if it is because Shadow is jealous that he has more female fans. Songfei gets on all fours and cannot believe that Shadow could be a simp who is coming after him just because the girl he is crushing on is in Songfei's team. Then his computer notification pops up and shows that his tradable lifespan is dropping from 400 to 370, and it keeps going down without stopping. He is in a dilemma when his fangirls rush over and instantly start screaming that something is wrong. They tell him that Shadow used a skill and a blood-red flower appeared on his corpse, and it looked like it was absorbing something from him. Songfei cannot understand how a flower growing on his corpse can drain his lifespan. This only means one thing: Shadow is deliberately trying to permanently kill him. He instantly says that he needs to log off or else he will lose all of his lifespan. Then his family tells everyone that they should all log off for now, and that he will buy some lifespan in the real world and convert it into gear. Once they are fully equipped and stronger, they will come back and fight him. All the girls instantly agree to their master's command as Songfei vows to himself that it is not over. He trained hard for 2.5 years to get where he is today, and he refuses to believe that he cannot crush Shadow with money. Meanwhile, Shadow stands on the corpse of all the people he killed, and he gets the title of Slayer, which is tier 4. Apparently, death will cause him to lose 96 of his current lifespan, and Shadow farms around 1,000 days of lifespan from Songfei and his group, but the absorption stops, so it seems like they all log off. Meanwhile, Yixuis Owl and Yixui are looking at Shadow, and they cannot believe that this is the power of rank 1 player Shadow, and it is truly terrifying. Shadow then asks her if Songfei logs off, and Yixui replies that they did. So he asks her to keep an eye on them and tell him the moment they all come back online. Shadow then says that he has a gold tier priest skill, Holy Judgment Sword, and if she wants it, Yixui says she does, so he asks her to wait in the town for him. In the town, he says that the skill book is worth 500 days of lifespan, but he will sell it to her at half the price if she agrees on one condition. Yixui suddenly recoils, saying that she does not sell herself, but this even makes Shadow a little nervous because he did not mean that. He just wants her to join a team as their long-term healer. This seems like a good proposal to Yikshui, but she asks if they think that she is too weak. Then she will complain about their weakness to him. Shadow says it is fine, they are a pretty good team and he is going to contact them right now. Meanwhile, Wang Mei is on the battlefield killing monsters, as he asks Xiaoyu to quickly cleanse the poison on him. Xiaoyu does not even know what cleanse means, and Song Fei reminds her that all priests have cleansing skills, and she should hurry because he cannot hold much longer. Suddenly, Xiaoyu seems to realize what that skill is, and she confidently asks everyone to watch her, but she points her staff in the wrong direction, and it almost kills he. She then says that she missed, but it is too late for them as Wang Mei dies of poison. Back in the town, everyone separates from Xiaoyu, and Wang Mei thinks that they must replace the healer, but where else are they going to find a hidden class healer now, because the good ones already joined other teams. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu is happy because it is not a hard game for her, and reaching level 4 is a breeze. She just needs to keep this up, and she will meet her brother Song Fei very soon. Suddenly, Wang Meng gets a text from Shadow, saying that he knows someone, a hidden class white avian priestess, and if he wants her for his team. Meng says that he trusts his word, and since he is recommending her, then of course they will take her. Shadow says that she is in Ember Town and few people farm there, so just head over, and they all can level together. The captain thinks that it is a great idea because they are just about to switch locations and Shell Town is way too crowded. He then looks at Xiaoyu and says that they are thinking about moving to a higher level zone, and it is just too dangerous for her at this level, so they will not be taking her. Xiaoyu cannot believe what she is hearing, and she instantly starts to say that she can still manage to land a few good scores. But before she can finish her sentence, they all run away from her, wishing her well. Xiaoyu instantly shows her true color and scolds them, saying that if they want to ditch her, then just say that there is no need for excuses. Besides, she was sick of those guys anyway, and she will go find expert Shadow to carry her in Ember Town. Meng arrives and he pays 800 days of lifespan for the gear he bought last time. Meng and his team still owe Shadow some days of lifespan, but he promises that he will give the rest when Captain N arrives. Meanwhile, Shadow is wondering if Captain N is the same Captain N Yu. Suddenly, Captain N Yu arrives, and he realizes right away that it is the same person. Her player ID is Execution, and she has a unique hidden class, Dragon Knight. She is one of the top 20 global powerhouses. In his past life, she was one of the pillars of Great Xia's official forces, and she was a nightmare for hostile foreign factions. Captain N remarks that it is really nice to meet someone skilled like him, and that she admires his fighting skills. Shadow feels a little nervous because this is his first time meeting someone who outranked him in this cursed game in his past life, and comments on his leveling speed, saying that it is insane, and she asks if he has any secrets. She even jokes that he might be a time traveler or reincarnator because of the way he is playing the game. But Shadow is thinking about how in his past life, this woman was in a different team from Wang Meng. Still, he receives 500 days of lifespan from Wang Meng's team, as they owed him earlier. Shadow also realizes that Enyu has already secured a lot of credible lifespan on behalf of Zhenghai City's officials, and then says that if he has any more gear to sell in the future, she and the government officials will take everything. She also says that all of Zhenghai City's official lifespan is on her, so there is no need for him to kill her. Shadow says that he is not that short-sighted, and that cooperation benefits both of them. That is why Enyu compliments that she knew Shadow was a confident and intelligent man. But Shadow instantly realizes that every sentence from her is a probe, just as the rumor said. Enyu acts naive, but she is sharp as a blade and ruthless when needed. Having her as an ally will save him a lot of trouble, especially since she is part of Xia's liaison. Back in the real world, Song Fei's fangirls have an active group chat where they talk about their brother, and they all wake up to an announcement that says the lifespan in godforsaken game is all real, and if it reaches 0, then they will die in the real world as well. They all realize that they all foolishly gave all their tradable lifespan to Song Fei, and start to cry because they now have only a few years or just a few days. They start to realize they have been reckless in playing the game. One mage thinks about how she always charges to the front in battles, acting like a tank mage, killing a lot of people but also dying over and over. Now she only has 1 day of lifespan left. She looks at the announcement and goes into denial. She refuses to believe it, but then another important announcement grabs her attention. It says Song Fei is buying lifespans. She thinks this is great, she can go to him, and he will definitely help her. She starts putting on her best lingerie, saying she wants to wear something confident so Song Fei will compliment her outfit and her body. On the other hand, Xiaoyu wakes up in her house, and she is confused because she cannot tell if she is in reality or still in the game. She checks her messages and sees that the rate for 1 day of lifespan is around 5,000 yuan, and she has 200 days of lifespan, which means she is already a millionaire. She suddenly realizes Shadow is actively killing brother Song Fei, and it has already happened 3 times. She starts shaking and crying when she reads that if their lifespan reaches 0 in the game, they will die in the real world. She is not worried about herself, she is worried about Song Fei because even though he had over 100 years of non-credible lifespan, after dying 3 times he only has a little over 12 years left. She is also confused why Shadow is targeting him, and from the group chat, she sees that he killed Song Fei 3 times. Even while being surrounded by dozens of people, it is scary how strong he is. Then she sees a text from another fangirl saying, Song Fei needs help, and everyone in Shanghai City should go and sell their tradable lifespan to him right now. Song Fei is at Dying Plaza, and the rate for purchasing lifespans is 1 to 1,000. Xiaoyu feels stressed because Dying Plaza is not far from her, and she cannot just sit and watch. She needs to go help her beloved idol. Meanwhile, Shadow is killing all these monsters like it is child's play for him, and soon he reaches level 10. His 4-dimensional attributes increase to 2, and he gains 5 free attribute points, and he also unlocks career advancement. Since he is the first player to reach level 10 within the scope of Shanghai City, he gains 7 reputation points. He is also the first player to reach level 10 in the country, and because of that, he reaches 14 reputation points. But not only that, he is the first person to reach level 10 globally and gains 21 reputation points. Also, the teleportation function to the abandoned continent of the gods now activates, and there is a global announcement saying that player Shadow is the first person to reach level 10. Everyone gasps, but they are not surprised. Still, they are concerned that Shadow is the person who was able to kill a golden level boss, and also reach level 10. People also just heard that the boss killed a little idol several times. There are around 15 billion people in Tianju, and there is no one who can catch up to him. Talking about Shadow, meanwhile, he consumes 13 evolution points into his initial skill Backstab and enhances it from Platinum to Emerald. The passive effect is that when attacking from behind the target, damage increases from 40 to 50. But his tradable lifespan is around 7,000 days, which is completely not enough, because if he wants to leave the initial town, he needs to gather 7 level 10 people to open the teleportation function to the abandoned continent of the gods. Actually, the highest level is 7 right now, so he needs to wait a little longer, but this is working all according to his plan, because now he can go back to reality and settle his grudge with Song Fei. He then fades away and wakes up in his room. He gets the system notification asking if he wants to consume tradable lifespan by extracting the agility ability into reality, and he selects it. There are 5 things he can do. First is that he can extract class and level. He can also extract equipment, skill, lineage, and divinity. He chooses to extract class by consuming 1,000 days of life. He then also extracts level 2 and consumes another 2,000 days of life. Next is the ability, but according to logic, the higher the skill grade, the more lifespan it consumes to extract it, and it increases exponentially. He did not expect that the lifespan consumed to extract skill is based on the skill's initial grade instead of being calculated based on his evolved skill level. The skill Shadow only requires the basic 900 days. The extracted skill is synchronized with the game and is of platinum grade, so it comforts him that he now has that level of power in real life as well. He then consumes another 2,262 days of lifespan on Dread Abyss and extracts the skill Venomous Dart, silver grade. He now has around 1,300 days of lifespan left, so he cannot extract any other abilities for now. Besides, he extracted platinum grade Shadow at the price of extracting a low quality skill, so it is actually a great deal. He can feel the power moving through his veins, because now his basic physical value is twice that of any ordinary person, and his agility is as high as 32 points, which has already gone beyond the limit of human beings. He is now a walking weapon, and with his unlimited invisibility and poisonous darts that can be fired up to 14 meters, he knows he will be able to find an opportunity to end Song Fei soon. But he does not even need to look for that genius idol, because everything Song Fei does can be tracked easily on the internet. When he sees that Song Fei is wildly buying up lifespan, he realizes that the idol is planning to settle scores with him after the game update. He knows it will only take him 10 minutes to reach the place where Song Fei is, but then his phone starts buzzing, and it is Hu Cubin, the company's arrogant supervisor who always relies on his power. He is mad at Qin Feng for not answering his calls, and says that a young lady who is actually his boss has eyes on his body. But Shadow does not want to think about work right now because he knows the real world is about to be over. He throws his phone aside and turns invisible again, saying that soon people will realize this game is the real deal. The stadium is like a cult gathering, where Song Fei sits on stage proudly, while all of his fangirls chant his name and blush hard, because their idol is right in front of them. He sits like a king with his assistant next to him, who asks about Shadow killing him 3 times in the game. Then she tells him not to worry, because she has already asked people to investigate the real identity of Shadow. Song Fei asks her about the update, and the girl says she has sent someone to the town to approach him and give him a number he cannot refuse, so they are going to wait until he comes back to reality to get the money, and then they will capture him and let Song Fei teach him a lesson he will never forget. Song Fei then tells her to notify him, because he wants to see it with his own eyes and have the pleasure of hurting Shadow himself. He also mentions that he heard about the Jing industry using the same method to control several players and make them work for free. Apparently these industries use their money to offer players in the game money in exchange for lifespan, but when people leave the game to collect that money, they are captured and tortured by the industry and forced to work for their freedom. Song Fei feels confident about his plan to buy lifespan, but then suddenly, a man on the barricade starts shouting at the girls, telling them not to sell their lifespan without restraint, because according to the official announcement, if their lifespan reaches 0 in the game, they will also die in reality. Song Fei knows this but still continues to brainwash his fans into selling their lifespan and even killing people he just sighs. Like it is just another normal day for him. When someone is making trouble, he gets up and gives a fake apology. But all the girls scream that he does not need to, because he has done nothing wrong and they are happy to give him what he needs. Song Fei is like every other influencer who manipulates the audience into thinking that all he wants is love and peace for everyone. But in truth, his only interest is surviving for himself. He lies that he is actively cooperating with the authorities and has been working hard in the game so he can use his personal assets to acquire lifespan, hoping to become a quality idol in the game and a person worthy of everyone's affection. He then starts to shed crocodile tears, and every girl in the stadium begins to cry with him, thinking their idol is so kind and considerate that he is giving back to society in such a manner. But all the girls are deeply manipulated and believe that he has nothing to apologize for. They all then turn against the man who was trying to knock some sense into them. The tank mage, who is always the first to attack anyone who dares to fight against Song Fei, is also the first to defend Song Fei in real life. She jumps on stage and acts like she is the #1 fangirl of Song Fei, but even the idol himself feels scared and disgusted by her. She says that she would gladly sacrifice herself for her idol. Even after logging off when she was warned that her lifespan was less than a day, she claims the announcement is not true and says they need to be determined to sacrifice their lives for their brother, because if they are not willing, then they do not deserve to love him. Her words somehow sink into the minds of the other girls, and they all start to chant that even if they only have days left to live, they are going to donate everything to Song Fei. Song Fei then manipulates her again and says he is lucky to have someone like her, and she starts to ugly cry, thinking she has done something extraordinary in her life. But then, as suddenly as it happens, someone throws a poison dart, and it goes straight through Song Fei's head. Part of his brain bursts, and he falls onto his superfan. Everyone is shocked, and within seconds they realize what just happened. They all start to scream and flee the scene. Song Fei's assistant is suddenly pushed by the bodyguards, telling her to run and leave the place immediately. She does not look back at her boss lying dead on the ground, because she is too scared. She saw that when Song Fei died, a ball of light appeared on his body, then the ball of light vanished into thin air. It must have been taken by someone. It is clear that the skills from the cursed game that killed Song Fei are the same ones used here in real life, and there is only one person with this method. Just as the assistant comes to this realization, another poison dart goes through her head, killing her instantly. She was right. Shadow has come to take care of the pest, one and all. It is gloomy in Janya City because Song Fei dies so publicly and so tragically. But this is not all. His extremist fan, who donated her lifespan to him, also dies within minutes. Police reports say Song Fei's cause of death is supernatural, but no one really believes it. Xiaoyu cannot believe that she just watched her beloved brother die on stage. He was alive just minutes ago and then he was gone. She knows that throwing knives stealthily is a skill from the godforsaken game. Xiaoyu's friend asks if she thinks someone assassinated their idol because she heard that Shadow killed Song Fei 3 times already in the game. But she wonders how powers can show up in reality so soon. Xiaoyu starts to think and realizes the rumor might be true. Shadow has killed him many times in the game and seems to have a personal vendetta against him. If there is an enemy for her dead idol, it is him. Besides, throwing knives and using invisibility cloak are abilities Shadow uses, which means he did kill her idol. She starts to ugly cry, saying her world has no life left. Shadow has managed to use his abilities from the game in real life, but still, she wants to get close to him and beside him. She vows to grow stronger no matter what, because from now on she has only one goal, to avenge her brother Song Fei and kill Shadow. Meanwhile, Qin Feng is calmly eating his noodles and filling his stomach. In the game, even if a player is invincible in reality, playing still uses energy, so when they get hungry they have to eat. He gets a text from his boss saying that if he does not come right now, he will be fired and will not get his salary for last month. The text is from his colleague Yang Xiaoya, who has a good personality but is weak and often bullied in her previous life. She was a member of the higher Godslayer Guild, but she was not a good or strong player. Just to be kind, Shadow tells her not to bother with their boss anymore. There is no point going to work, they should spend their time upgrading in the game. Xiaoya asks if he knows any tips about the game because people keep saying it is hard, and he gives her friendly advice that no matter what profession she chooses, she should put all her points into agility in the beginning. She then asks how his grind is going and how much he has earned. Shadow cannot tell her the truth, so he says he has not earned much and has spent almost all of it. Xiaoya laughs and says he must have bought himself a car and a house. No wonder he is not coming back to work for Hu. Qin Feng thinks Hu is a real piece of trash, but the bigger problem is his boss Chen Cece. She is the daughter of the CEO of Chun Group, the company he worked for before, but she is known for her predatory behavior. She targets men below her. She goes into hotels with foreign middle-aged men. Afterwards she started targeting him, but Qin Feng has no interest in selling himself out for someone like her. Chun Cece is a person who worships foreigners and looks down on her own people. So in his past life, not long after the launch of the game, she leaves the country and goes to North America to chase her dream of creating the Alice in Wonderland Association. She is focused only on the downfall of the country. In his past life, she even brings endless trouble to the country and to his god-slaying guild. This is why he knows he has to get rid of her before she leaves the country, because once she is in North America, she will not be so easy to deal with. If Chun Cece dies, then the Alice in Wonderland Association will never be established, and rumor says that many of its founders are having affairs with her right now, so once she is gone, the founders will fall apart and their communication will stop. Just like that, his phone starts buzzing. It is his sister. When he picks up, she screams like the brat she is, saying he does not know how to answer his phone, and she thought he died in the godforsaken game. Then she starts rambling that since he is unfortunately still alive, she just wanted to let him know she has earned enough to buy a house, so he should never contact her again. Qin Feng calmly asks what she wants him to do, and she says again that he should never try to find where she lives because she is independent and she will not turn back. Qin Feng tells her it does not matter anymore and says he is going to hang up now. This makes her even more angry, but he does not want to hear it anymore. He walks out of the shop and knows he has to get back to leveling up. It will not be long before players reach level 10 and discover that abilities can be taken into reality. And when that happens, the world will no longer have peace. Back inside the game, Xiaoyu is still acting bratty when her friend tells her to apologize to her brother, so he can help her in the game. But she is stubborn and spiteful. She has sold the life force to the Chun Group for 2 million, and now she is rich. She even bought a house where they can stay together. She has a plan, and that plan is to get to know Shadow soon, and for now that is her only goal. Just then, her ex-classmate walks up. Still trying to impress her, he gives her the assassin ability book she wanted and asks for what she promised her. She says she will satisfy his little wish later. But inside, she is thinking about what a bootlicker he is. All she needs is to know Shadow so she will not have to talk to trash like him anymore. She then contacts her ex-boss Wang Meng and tells him she has an assassin skill book with a control skill and asks if he can see if Shadow wants it. She says she will give it to him for free, but inside, it is just part of her plan. She thinks the skill book will be what brings her and Shadow closer. Once they are close and have a bond, she will stay by his side, heal him, help him clear enemies, and level up together. She will make him feel cared for and help him in every way until he trusts her. She even imagines being in a relationship with him, but once she is strong enough and has his trust, she will kill him herself and scoop out his eyes for revenge for her brother Song Fei while she is lost in her little plan. Meng replies that Shadow does not like the book and does not need it. She should keep it and sell it for cash instead, and this bursts the bubble she has been living in. On the other side, Shadow has already returned to the game and is out hunting again when he hears people fighting. He sees that the boss they are fighting is not a normal one, but a dangerous golden arthropod, a level 8 boss. The party is doing their best, but they are still not enough. Shadow remembers from his past life that this boss has level 2 anti-stealth, which means his stealth skill is useless. Just then, the boss turns its head and looks at Shadow and starts moving toward him. The assassin charges in for an attack as well. He swings his sword, delivering multiple strikes, and he quickly realizes that hitting from outside the opponent's field of vision is much more effective if the enemy can see through his invisibility. Then it becomes useless and his damage drops a lot, but thanks to the legendary Divine Salvation skill, the weak points on the head and heart of the golden arthropod have increased by 200. So out of the 9 slashes from instant Shadow Slash, 3 land directly on the weak points, dealing triple damage. Meanwhile, another player with her face hidden watches him. She thinks the damage from Shadow Slash is insane because the golden arthropod's health drops by 15th in an instant. She watches as Shadow throws his poison darts, but since they are only silver level, the damage is not very effective. He makes a note in his mind that he still needs to level up his profession to get a higher stealth level. He is still thinking when the arthropod raises its claw for a slash, and the girl shouts for him to watch out. Shadow listens and moves at the last second. The girl cannot believe someone can move so quickly, and it's clear that he understands the boss attack patterns. Shadow remembers that no matter how many times he and his friend tried in his past life, they could never beat this boss. And he learned that this domain boss is not one you defeat with brute force. You have to read its moves and feel its rhythm, and once he learned that, he became one of the 100 strongest assassins. Then the arthropod suddenly turns to run, but Shadow is not forgiving. With another slash and a poison dart, he kills it and the head falls. He gains 6,400 experience points, 7 evolution points, and 497 days of tradable life. He uses his greedy hand skill to get 21 more evolution points and another 497 days of tradable life. He also unlocks a new assassin skill, the platinum-ranked Blacklight Shield. It actively turns all of the user's dodge into damage and gives an immune shield for 8 seconds. Once the shield breaks or the time runs out, the dodge rate goes back to normal. Shadow notices a skill book with a 75 evasion chance, the epic grade Ghostly Blur. Alongside it, the Blacklight Shield can stack up to 3 layers of damage reduction. With this, handling bosses will be far easier, and it also gives him the option to upgrade the shield straight to epic. He spends 6 evolution points to evolve his Platinum Blacklight Shield to Epic Level 1. The shield now grants 7 layers of damage reduction, which means he can enter higher level areas earlier than most players. With 22 points still left, he turns his focus to poison darts. 16 points push the skill from Silver to Emberland, and its toxicity rises from 50 to 83 upgrades, nearly double its power, and with only a 5-second cooldown, the sustained damage rivals Shadow Snake. 2 pieces of assassin-type equipment also drop, and he equips them immediately. The first is City of Lightness, gold grade, boosting agility by more than 20 and movement speed by over 20. The second is Heavy Crimson Leather Gloves, another gold grade piece, giving 18 physical defense along with all element resistance and constitution. Together, the new equipment raises his flame strength by 55, cuts regional fire strength duration from 12 seconds to 77, and adds 51 damage, 106 physical damage, and 15-17 health. With these stats combined with Blacklight Shield, his attack rhythm holds steady, and his survivability rises sharply while he is still evolving his skills. The party from earlier rushes over, amazed at his speed. They ask if he has any skill books to sell. Shadow explains there is one for mages. Frost Ejection, a gold-grade group skill that fires an ice ball capable of bouncing 10 times. The cost, however, is 800 days of life. They complain it's too expensive and mention someone selling a level 5 gold skill earlier. Shadow corrects them, it is actually a level 7 skill. Once upgraded, its damage rises by more than 40, so 800 days of life is not expensive at all. A girl with a hidden face speaks up, saying she has already bought it, and the transaction is completed. With that, Shadow leaves. He hasn't cleared the town's boss yet, so he decides to spread the news in the small town, gather information on its location, and confirm if a golden level boss is present. If there is, it could provide him with an endless supply of fights and push his growth to the maximum. Just then, a message arrives from Wang Ming Xiaoyu from his earlier team, is offering Shadow a book for free and asks if he wants it. Shadow assumes it's just a bronze book, but he also knows his sister well enough to doubt her intentions. She never gives anything without a plan. Outside rumors already claim Shadow killed Song Fei, and Xiao Yu suddenly offering him a scale book only makes the situation more suspicious. He tells Meng to keep the trash and check it herself still. The doubt lingers. He wonders if Xiao Yu is trying to impress him or avenge Song Fei, but either way, he decides to keep his distance. He then tells Meng to come to town, prepare money in advance, and get ready because he has something to sell before ending the conversation. The party leader stops him and asks a question Shadow has been expecting. Did he kill Song Fei? Shadow answers without hesitation yes, but Meng knows that during Song Fei's death, Shadow was offline. That detail, combined with the timing and motive, shows Meng that the authorities already suspect most of the truth. The question now is whether they plan to arrest him. Shadow considers the timing. In just 2 hours, other players will reach level 10, and abilities from this world will start transferring to reality. Once that happens, the truth can't stay hidden. He decides this is the perfect moment to test how the Daxia authorities will react to killings inside the game. When Shadow returns to town, Captain asks him directly if he killed Song Fei. Shadow does not hesitate to admit it, and she begins to laugh instead of arresting him. She explains that they carried out a thorough investigation and found him to be the only suspect. However, they also discovered that Song Fei and Zhang Li plotted against him, and that Dodging Industries kidnapped players and forced them to work. In her view, killing them was self-defense. Shadow thinks to himself that these authorities are not as friendly toward assassins as they appear. For now, they cannot identify him, so they will continue to cooperate, but he knows the situation is unstable in his past life. He worked cleanly with the authorities and carried no black marks yet. This time, he has killed a human and Zhang Li directly, and that could change everything. He wants to see how much his rebirth shifts the outcome of this game. He decides to sell his unused platinum gear. The government is willing to buy every class of equipment and skills, and because they have enough lifespan to pay, he can sell in larger quantities. When people see the platinum gear, they become excited and ask if he soloed a platinum boss since there was no global announcement. Shadow tells them the truth. He got lucky with Jade's chest and even bought himself a Jade skill book. Ishue confirms his story, saying she saw him open the chest with her own eyes. Shadow calls her Little Snow, which makes Hei complain because he always calls her Little Black. So she asks why Ishue gets a different name. Shadow asks if she wants another nickname, and she blushes even harder. Captain and comments that while they struggle with silver bosses, he casually obtains platinum and jade loot. Shadow then explains the prices. A platinum archer skill book costs 2,500 days. A platinum barracks weapon costs 1,500 days. A platinum skill book costs 3,000 days, and a gold skill book and equipment costs 8,000 days. He offers to keep the discount and sell the remaining 25 platinum skill books and equipment for 16,000 days. Captain and accepts the deal immediately. Wang Meng feels nervous that she did not even bargain, but insists the price is fair and says she will also clear the small debt Wang Meng owes Shadow. The deal is completed, and Shadow agrees that Captain and made the right choice. After the trade, his lifespan increases to 10,000 days. Converted into years, that is about 60, which means around 22,000 days in total. This equals roughly 400 million in real-world value. For the government, the cost is huge, but the return is greater. The equipment and skill books allow the Shanghai city government to build strong teams quickly. The stronger the authorities grow, the less trouble they will face. And through this exchange, Shadow also secures an advantage for the inevitable international confrontations ahead. That is when N raises a concern to Shadow, telling him that Dodging Industries has imprisoned players, and asks if he will join them in rescuing those people. Shadow thinks they are either trying to recruit him or planning to use this to forget about him killing Song Fei, but he has no interest and refuses. He confirms their suspicion by admitting that he used his in-game power to kill both Song Fei and Zhang Li. He warns them that once players reach level 10, they will start spending lifespan, and can bring their abilities into reality. He advises them to understand what this means, and to use their time well. Captain N realizes that once Dodging Industries players hit level 10, their rescue mission will become much more difficult. After giving them this warning, Shadow leaves, and then tells Wang Meng that they should split up. Since their squad is now high level, staying together would waste damage by one-shotting mobs. If they divide and each lead a team, their leveling speed will increase greatly. Their goal is to get everyone to level 10. Then log off and share the information with those who are still offline. People notice that Shadow is setting up his shop again, but this time he is buying instead of selling. He offers 30 days for silver boss coordinates, and 100 days for gold boss coordinates. A boy who used to serve Jiang Li approaches Shadow and says that his young mistress promised him 300 million in shares in Dodging Industry if he agrees to carry her. He insists this is a golden opportunity that will never come again, so Shadow should treasure it. Shadow replies that the boy must not have logged off yet because he already killed Song Fei, and he also killed Jiang Li in real life. The boy is stunned because he claims he saw her recently and describes her as beautiful. He says it is a shame and a waste, but admits that it also serves her right since she once tried to capture Shadow in real life and enslave him. She was killed on the spot. He explains further that the first time she offered Shadow 10 million to carry her, Shadow refused later. Tempted by the money, he tried to find her, hoping to walk away with 5 million, but when he went to collect it in real life, Dodging Industry thugs knocked him out. When he woke, he was locked in a basement, whipped for days, and forced to grind lifespan and lure more victims for that reason. If Jiang Li is really dead, then she got what she deserved. He says he used to laugh at Shadow for being stupid, but now he realizes he was the fool. Shadow looks at him and says that judging by his face, he was probably the kind who licked her boots and helped her kidnap many people. The boy denies it, but it is too late because the authorities have already moved to deal with him. At that moment, someone hiding near the clock offers Shadow coordinates for a silver boss, and they complete a deal later in another town. Ace of Spades arrives with 2 of her favorite companions. Rumors say she is Chun Shirshir, heiress to the Chun group in real life, and every man around her trembles because she has killed plenty of players. Without mercy for her, the game is just another shopping trip she can buy her way through by spending pocket money on the best equipment and skills, recruiting a head combat fodder, and hunting down players with lifespan to take. That method is effortless for those with money, and impossible for those without it. She is still annoyed that the game made her miss a flight. She should be in North America, enjoying herself instead of being stuck in this city, and unable to leave the country. She looks at the men shivering before her, calls them weak, and tells her bodyguards that they are far more charming and manly. She imagines trying it for herself when they return to reality, and can barely hide her impatience. She asks if Song Fei really died but does not care much about him because she once played with him, and he lasted only a minute. Right now she focuses on Shadow because he is local and ranked number 1, which makes him worth her attention. If he could kill someone like Song Fei, then killing an ordinary target will be easy, so she decides to take the chance to meet him. She logs off to make a call to have someone contact Shadow, and while she is gone she posts an offer of 3,000 days of lifespan. Cash might not tempt her, but lifespan will, and all she asks is for him to snap his fingers and kill one small target she has in mind, a man who rejected her Chin Feng, and she wants him dead in real life. Xiaoyu has joined Zhang Wei's team, but she is still as incompetent as ever. The scrawny kid asks her to heal him faster next time so that he does not come so close to meeting his ancestor. Xiaoyu, however, is bratty and dismissive. She tells him not to yell at her and that he should just be grateful. Wei has no choice but to argue with her, but she suddenly logs off, saying she is hungry, and takes her friend Yen Yen with her. The boy remembers how she used to call him expert so sweetly, but now she acts rude. Ever since she met Shadow she behaves high and mighty, yet he believes it is only a matter of time before her arrogance is torn to shreds. In real life Xiaoyu has moved into a luxurious apartment, but she wakes up hungry. She discovers that all delivery places are closed and no riders are available because everyone is absorbed in the game. She suddenly recalls how Chin Feng used to cook for her at home and how she never had to lift a finger. She quickly pushes the thought aside, telling herself that food is nothing compared to freedom. She convinces herself that she is strong, the best, and can live better without her brother. Meanwhile, Shadow is not thinking about Xiaoyu at all. He is busy fighting another silver tear crab and slashes it into the ground. In just over an hour he has killed more than 4 silver bosses, each one giving him 16 evolution points. The loot from an average silver boss reaches up to 3,500 days of lifespan, which has allowed him to equip only gold tear or higher gear. His cooldown reduction has risen from 55 to 75, lowering the cooldown of instant Shadow Slash from 12 seconds to 68. There are no platinum bosses near the outskirts of Safetown, so gold tier gear is the current ceiling. The only path forward is class advancement using evolution points. Shadow also remembers that future platinum bosses have at least level 2 stealth reduction. He needs to advance quickly and reach stealth level 3, which means keeping around 20,000 experience points. Only at stealth level higher than 3 can he reduce the risk of fighting platinum bosses. In his previous life, it took a 20-man raid with flawless coordination to defeat one platinum boss. He now decides to head back to town and sell loot to the government. His goal is to stay ahead of everyone and secure the world's first platinum boss kill for himself. Back in town, he again purchases coordinates for a boss, paying 105 years of tradable lifespan. Just then, someone approaches him and says he has a hit. It is a real-world target and the pay is good. Shadow ignores him, but the man runs after him, insisting that the job is simple. All he needs to do is kill someone named Qin Feng, and he will even provide the address. He says it is easy money. This makes Shadow pause because he is Qin Feng. He asks about the offer and who is behind it. The man refuses to answer and only says the payment is 3,000 days of tradable lifespan. Shadow quickly calculates that it is worth about 50 million yuan and realizes someone powerful wants him dead. This person cannot be from his current life or his last life because it is too early for enemies to appear in his previous life. Grudges only surfaced in the middle to late stages of the game. The only one with both the motive and the means to target him so soon is Chun Cece. Only she would dare to place a bounty on Qin Feng before the game has even truly begun. If Chun Cece truly wanted Qin Feng gone before the game, she should have done it earlier. The fact that she waited shows the hit has another purpose. Her real goal is likely to connect with Shadow, while killing Qin Feng is only a bonus since he once rejected her. Shadow laughs at her little scheme thinking she is amusing. He had been planning to seek her out, but now she has come to him. He accepts the deal on the condition that half of the payment is given up front and that he decides when to carry out the job. The messenger starts to sweat because he needs authorization for the deposit. Once approved, Shadow receives 1,500 days of tradable lifespan. He considers it interest and thinks she can wait, because he will be coming for Chun Cece soon enough. The messenger also gives him the target's location and details, which turn out to be his own address. Shadow leaves, promising results soon. Just then a girl named Nai Bai stops him, saying she heard he is buying boss coordinates. She offers him the location of a gold tier boss and suggests they both make a payment confirmation. Bai tells him to follow her north of town. It is a bit of a distance, but she offers to guide him. She explains the boss is a plague bearer, which means she must have encountered it herself. She again asks if he wants a healer with him because the boss inflicts low poison damage, but Shadow refuses, saying he only needs her to guide him. The plague bearer is indeed gold tier and has a poison ring that drains HP every second to anyone within range. To beat it, Shadow must finish the fight quickly, but for him, a few skills are enough to deal with it. Bai takes Shadow to a cave, explaining that all the other teams were defeated by her team, but they themselves could not take down the boss. She then points out the gold tier boss, Black Bearer. Shadow completes the transfers while thinking that the poison can be avoided by dodging, and that the 75 evasion of ghost shadows will be very useful. However, Bai does not run away. She looks guilty and admits that she needs to warn him because it is actually a trap. Once he starts fighting, people will show up to kill him, and they have an item with level 2 anti-stealth. She says they forced her to pretend to get close to him, try to learn his real-life identity, and then betray him. She confesses because she is being blackmailed in real life and actually wants those people dead. Shadow thinks it is a foolish plan, but he still asks who is behind it. Bai reveals that it is Dongfang Xian, whose in-game ID is Xianyun. She explains that he has already been killed by Shadow once. Shadow remembers that he is the same person who tried to ambush him while he was fighting a gold tier boss earlier and later tried to give him an assassin book as an apology. Bai insists that if Shadow is strong enough to kill Song Fei, then he can also take care of Dongfang. Shadow replies that it is not his priority right now because his focus is on killing the boss. At the same time, he would not mind turning Dongfang's plan against him and letting his people die here instead. Before he leaves, Bai tries to stop him, warning that they brought around 18 people earlier and were wiped out in less than 30 seconds. The poison damage is extremely high and insists that even if Shadow is resistant, he will still die. She considers running away, but then sees Shadow activating Blessed Release, Black Attack Enhancement, and Throat Cut effect with one strike. He takes 2/3 of the gold tier boss life, dealing about 80,000 damage. He then pulls back to the cliff, deciding not to finish the boss yet. He plans to wait for the goons to arrive while his cooldown resets. When the goons rush in, they cannot find Shadow because he is still in stealth, so they charge at Bai instead. She quickly pulls out a gold shield and manages to hold her ground. Shadow notes that such strong defense is rare at this stage, and few could break through it. Not wanting to waste more time, he uses instant Sombra Cut to wipe out the men, then casts Curse of the Flower that blooms to extract their lifespan. Bai does not understand what the flowers are for, but she is relieved that she chose not to follow Dongfang's plan. If she had, she would have ended up like the rest of his men. She then offers to add Shadow as a friend, saying that the next time Dongfang slips up, she can find out where he lives. Shadow agrees and tries to leave, but she calls him back, saying that if there is any way she can repay him, she would be honored to do so. Shadow is not interested and returns to finish off the Black Bearer. He reaches level 7 and gains 555 days of longevity. The tradable life drained from more than 10 people does not even compare to what the boss gave him, and he knows that instead of farming quietly, they will continue to cause trouble for him. Shadow then asks Bai if she wants anything, but she only wants to leave. He uses his greedy hand and finds an assassin skill book, Darkest Moment of level Platinum. It is an assassin class skill where the blade releases an explosion of blacklight that blinds all enemies in range. He realizes that if he can blind enemies without relying on stealth, he can still trigger double damage, so no matter what level of anti-stealth a boss has, his damage output will not be affected. He also obtains a blade, a platinum assassin weapon with an attack power of more than 216, and a level 10 requirement to unlock it. Its unique effect is that every attack carries toxins that explode after 3 seconds, dealing 50 of the attack's damage. Shadow feels satisfied with his harvest. Having accumulated around 98 evolution points, he knows he will soon be able to evolve his epic grade Greedy Hand to legendary grade. Since he has only 10,000 experience short of a level advancement, he decides to handle it by fighting small monsters. He unleashes havoc on little sea animals, killing them all, and his job advances to the first tier. With the advancement, he gains a job attribute bonus with his strength, concentration, agility, and spirit all increasing 3 times. His stealth duration doubles, and he feels extremely powerful now because he can activate stealth while already in stealth state, which means that as long as his cooldown is sufficient, he can maintain permanent stealth. His outside of field vision also increases from 2 times to 3 times. This first tier job advancement already feels so exaggerated that Shadow finds it truly worth it. Soon, an announcement from the game declares that there are now 7 people in Jinghai City who have reached level 10, and the teleportation array to Gourd Abandoned Continent will open in 10 minutes. All players are advised to prepare their teams and gather at the coordinates if they wish to go to the continent. Shadow holds first place, followed by Grey Rose in second, and Wang Meng and his team in third. These names are all familiar to Shadow, yet he remembers that in his previous life, the leaderboard at this point had been filled with foreign players. It seems that his influence from selling so much gold and platinum equipment and skill books is already changing the situation. He wonders if this time the world will play out differently, and he is looking forward to it. Meanwhile, in reality, the authorities arrest the main members of the dodging industrial criminal group. Some of the 3 main members remain inside the God Abandoned game, and their bodies in a virtual state cannot be arrested. The inspector instructs his comrades to notify Captain N and have her find a way to force the suspects offline. The inspectors agree that this method is effective, since even if criminals hide in safe towns where they cannot be attacked, their real bodies will still suffer hunger. When they log off to eat, they can be arrested. They note that the success rate is high because of Shadow. Not only has he provided intelligence on dodging industries, but he also warned them in advance about game abilities being extracted into reality. If they had been any later, the leader Zhang Li and the others would have reached level 10 in extracted abilities, which would have made them nearly impossible to arrest. Other countries are already facing small-scale unrest with thousands of deaths, but Jilin City remains stable because the authorities have teams inside the game equipped with advanced gear, all thanks to Shadow back in the game. By remarks on what sort of hero he is, Shadow is confused and asks what she means. She explains that officials have announced he is the one who helped bring justice to the people, since Song 3 was conspiring with dodging industries, killing and detaining players. Shadow realizes the officials are whitewashing his image, most likely because it will be more convenient for them if he cooperates. Shadow then asks if she has found Dongfang's real location. She replies that he has not logged off yet, so he has to wait for any updates. For Shadow, that does not matter now. Dealing with Dongfang's low life is not his priority. His main goal is to reach God's abandoned continent. To him, the current town area is nothing more than a newbie village, and the real game begins only once he sets foot on the continent. Shadow activates stealth mode before teleporting, leaving the other players confused when they cannot see him. They do realize, however, that he has more than level 2 stealth along with level 2 anti-stealth. When he arrives at the continent, everything looks the same as in his previous life. He appears in the Jinghai City ruins, since players entering for the first time always arrive in their respective city ruins. The locations of these ruins are identical to reality, though the reason for this has always remained a mystery. As Shadow walks through the ruins, a monster creeps up from behind him. He strikes with a shadow slash and kills the Earthshaker. In towns like this, there are no safe zones, and monsters lurk everywhere, so players must stay alert. Still, if they manage to find shelters hidden within the ruins, they can establish strongholds and claim territory. Shadow knows that the best shelter in the Jinghai City ruins lies in the northwest, the very place where the God-slaying guild had its base in his previous life. Determined to reclaim it, he heads in that direction. Wang Meng and his team also arrive on the continent and realize that the surroundings look like familiar city ruins. They instantly recognize that it is their city, because the tower in Jinling City is still standing right in front of them. Hei recalls that someone mentioned Shadow was transferred here, but she cannot see him anywhere. She begins to search for him, but before she can, 2 worm monsters rush toward the team. They immediately start fighting and quickly realize that the normal monsters here are stronger than silver tier bosses back in the small town. They fight with all their strength until Hei finally uses her prophetic fireball to defeat the enemies. Meng then asks Ishue to scout the area with her owl. After surveying, she reports that the place is swarming with monsters, far too many to count. Their last fight has already attracted even more enemies, and they are all heading straight toward them. With no safe zone nearby, the team feels uncertain about what to do, and the situation begins to feel like a survival game. Hei then asks Ishue to try and locate Shadow, since he arrived only minutes earlier and should not be too far away. Ishue replies that there is no trace of him, but she does see a bright light in the northwest. It looks like the glow of loot dropped from a monster. They immediately realize this must be Shadow's doing, and because his inventory is probably full, he has not picked up the loot. So An urges everyone to follow the trail, knowing it will lead them to Shadow. Meanwhile, Shadow is farming monsters with ease, relying on his instant Shadow Slash, which deals up to 20 or 30,000 in damage. Since these monsters are weak compared to him, they die instantly. He soon reaches the location of the hideout, but it is buried beneath the ruins. Hidden below is a massive underground palace, one that in his previous life was discovered much later. The palace contains over 1,000 resting rooms and more than a dozen large halls, making it the largest hideout in Jinghai City, and eventually the base of his Goldslayer guild. For now though, the hideout is nothing more than a dungeon filled with mechanical monsters and guarded by a powerful boss. As with every hideout, the larger the location, the stronger the guardian. In his past life, after forming the Goldslayer guild, he had to gather 3 squads of 18 elite members, all level 15 and fully armed, and even then they nearly failed to capture this place. But this time, things are different. He is alone, yet he knows that he alone is enough to take the land of soul purification. The monsters here are level 12 gold elemental spirits, and they all attack him at once. What they do not expect is that he is an assassin of the highest skill. He uses the moment of absolute darkness to blind them, and then cuts them down with instant Shadow Slash. One after another, they fall without resistance. Since they are blinded, all of his attacks deal extra damage, and even his basic skills are enough to kill these level 12 minions instantly in no time. The main hall is cleared, yet Shadow knows this is only the beginning. With more than 1,000 rooms still filled with enemies, he has many more battles ahead. Once he clears the minions, he will have enough to evolve Greedy Hand again. And after every single enemy has fallen, the Guardian boss will appear, a fight he is already eager to begin. Soon, all the level 10 players around the world arrive in the gods' abandoned continent, and instantly recognize the ruins of the cities they once belonged to. New York, London, Paris, everything lies in destruction, and they are surrounded by thousands of monster guards with no safe towns anywhere in the ruins of Shanghai. Wang Meng and his team hide and rest, already exhausted from the number of monsters they have faced. Their main goal is not to fight, but to find Shadow so that he can help them. Captain and, however, is lost in her own thoughts, constantly drawn to the mysterious assassin and his overwhelming strength while she speaks in detail about him. Shadow himself is elsewhere leveling up and cutting down monsters as if it were nothing. Her words make Meng feel slightly uncomfortable, but he does not say anything. At that moment, Little Black asks what would happen if they were to die here. Wondering where they would respawn, nobody has an answer. So they all place their hopes on Shadow, believing he might be the one to uncover the truth. Meng then suggests to Captain and that the 6 of them should not move forward recklessly instead. They should wait until everyone reaches level 10 before progressing together. Meanwhile, Ishue continues to hunt for Shadow by following the trail of loot he left behind. Eventually, she notices the trail ends in one particular spot, which means Shadow must have disappeared there. She considers taking the loot for herself, but decides against it, knowing the risk is too high. Meng then says that he will contact Shadow first. And if Shadow confirms he does not need the loot, only then will they claim it. At the same time, Shadow clears 4 large halls and over 1,000 smaller rooms. He kills more than 400 monsters, including 4 bronze bosses and 2 silver bosses, gaining over 80,000 experience points and pushing his evolution points to 205. He only needs 5 more to evolve his greedy hand. Just then, he receives a message from Meng asking where he is, saying they are close after following his trail. Meng adds that he has taken some loot but will pay him later. Shadow replies that he will contact him after he has batch equipment to sell. Meng then sends him their coordinates, telling him they are waiting in the ruins bunker. At that moment, the palace guardian finally emerges. The soul purifier Phasar is level 15 and platinum grade. To claim ownership of the palace, Shadow must defeat him. The monsters in the city ruins reach up to level 15, but the soul purifier stands as the highest level monster and the strongest boss there. With 750,000 horsepower and 3 different phases in his past life, the soul purifier's thunderstrike was deadly. Even when full gold armor, Shadow had barely survived. This time, however, things are different. Before the boss can release his thunderstrike, Shadow strikes first, using instant Shadow Slash and Slit Throat together, tearing into the boss as his experience points soar. The soul purifier still manages to unleash a thunderstrike, but Shadow's high agility allows him to dodge in time. If the lightning had hit him with his current defense and resistance, he would have been killed instantly. Skills from platinum bosses carry bonus accuracy, and while his dodge rate is 75 against normal monsters, giving them only a 25 chance to land a hit, a platinum boss at level 15 can strike with at least 50 accuracy. Fortunately, with his incredible agility, Shadow sprints at full force, moving over 40 meters per second. As long as he stays alert, he can keep dodging before the lightning lands. Shadow vows not to give the soul purifier even a single chance. He unleashes another damage combo and instantly takes away 250,000 horsepower, pushing the boss into phase 2. In this phase, the boss becomes invincible and summons lightning orbs that target his enemy. To survive, the orbs must be destroyed first, otherwise the boss will go berserk. In his past life, Shadow's entire team had been wiped out by that berserk attack, and his sister became so angry that she refused to play again. On the second attempt, he left her out of the raid, and the team managed to defeat the boss. Now, after his rebirth, he no longer carries the weight of her death. He uses poison darts to destroy each orb, which also damages the soul purifier since part of his life is stored within them. Once every orb is destroyed, the boss drops into phase 3. A storm of electricity bursts from his body, signaling the start of the final phase, and the soul purifier begins unleashing continuous AoE lightning attacks. In his past life, the guild had been forced to equip every member with lightning-resistant gear, and even with 4 priests providing shields and healing, they had barely survived the assault. This time, he does not need such measures. He leaps into the air, reasoning that since the ground is constantly struck by lightning, the best way is to fight from above. He combines graceful release with dark light shields and strikes from the sky. He uses instant Shadow Slash, and the soul purifier, a level 15 platinum boss, is reduced to nothing more than dust. He reaches level 11 and gains 10 free attribute points along with 20 evolution points. He also becomes the first player in the world to defeat a platinum grade boss, earning 10 reputation points. Most importantly, he becomes the master of the land of soul purification. The hideout not only offers protection within the game, but also functions as storage, and everything that belongs to it can be brought into the real world. In his previous life, when the godforsaken game appeared, All real-world weapons began to corrode, even the deadliest ones like nuclear bombs became unusable from the very first day. Other weapons such as fighter jets and tanks kept functioning for a short while, but within a month or two, they also turned into scrap metal. In the end, all future battles in the real world depended entirely on the power extracted from the godforsaken game. The hideouts that were carried into reality became safe resting places, and their heavy defenses of magic barriers made them strongholds. He remembers many good and bad moments, but the bad ones linger the most because he witnessed too many people come and go, and everything was filled with schemes and conflict. This time he refuses to repeat that path. He will grow strong on his own and continue climbing until he stands at the very top where no one can defeat him. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu is stuck at the very bottom. She proves useless even there, constantly getting wiped out by weak monsters. We cannot believe she struggles to fight properly even with a giant axe this time. Xiaoyu cannot hold back her brattiness and begins arguing with Wei, blaming him for everything. The boy has no choice but to leave the party at that moment. Yan Yan, still stuck in the battlefield, panics because their tank has left before she can adjust. She also dies and returns when she comes back. She tells Xiaoyu they should focus on farming small monsters first and level up slowly. She warns that their lifespan is running low and admits she is very scared. Xiaoyu agrees on the surface but does not truly care. Then the system makes the announcement that player Shadow has defeated the platinum grade boss. Everyone is shocked, unable to believe he could possibly be that strong. Xiaoyu immediately begins blaming her teammates, saying they are too weak because they cannot even kill a silver boss, while Shadow has already become the first person to kill a platinum one. As always, she refuses to accept any responsibility herself. Shadow, on the other hand, calmly prepares to use his attribute points and experience to level up. He focuses entirely on increasing agility, knowing that as long as his agility remains high, combined with his unlimited stealth, he can kill many bosses without taking a single hit. He also did not expect a platinum boss to reward 20 evolution points with enough points in hand. He evolves the greedy hand from epic to legendary. As a passive effect, he gains greed space, which grants him 100 storage slots. It is an incredible bonus, and he cannot wait to throw every item he owns into storage. He uses the greedy hand to pick up all the loot, and from the pile he receives 5 bonus items and another 100 evolution points. 2 of the items are for assassins and 1 is an assassin skill book. Since he is still under-leveled for them, he places them safely into storage for later. He then commands his devout follower to gather everything into a single pile for easy access with around 115 evolution points in hand. He upgrades his nunpick skills to epic level 1. This includes stealth, enhanced backstab, and moment of darkness, which now all reach epic level. He also upgrades curses of blooming flowers to legendary, and that upgrade leads to a powerful discovery. The flowers can now absorb non-tradable lifespan as well. Many high-level areas and boss rage zones drain lifespan by hundreds or even thousands of times, and it is always the non-tradable lifespan that gets used first. This means that from now on he will never run out of lifespan again. It is a god-tier skill, and Shadow is extremely satisfied with what he has unlocked. Naibai then sends him a message congratulating him on becoming the first to kill a platinum boss. She adds that she has good news because Dongfang Xian has finally logged out, and she has heard that their family is holding a gathering at Zhengang restaurant. They have brought a huge amount of lifespan and are preparing to convert it into compact power inside the game. She warns him that if he is not able to kill the whole family this time, then she is finished, and Shadow understands that as well. Shadow collects all the items gathered by his devout follower. With half of his inventory slots free, he decides to find Wang Meng and sell everything. When he arrives at the coordinates, Captain and runs up to him as if he is her boyfriend, but Shadow brushes it aside and turns the matter to business. He says he will set the price and they can decide if they want to buy or not. He explains that many of the items are bronze tier, so he will sell them at a discount of 950 lifespan. Wang Meng does not waste time with bargaining and pays him up front with 2000 lifespan. The deal is done quickly. Shadow then presents a second offer, this time with silver, gold, and even platinum tier gear, with a total value of around 18,000 tradable lifespan. Without hesitation, Wang Meng happily transfers him the money and the deal is complete. Little Black looks at Shadow and asks if he is Doraemon, but Shadow ignores the remark. Instead, he gives them a tip. Beneath the stone statue in the center of the city ruins, there is a staircase that leads to a teleport circle back to the starting village if they want to return to this place. They must pay 500 lifespan once they come back here. Re-entering is free, so they must think carefully before using it. With that advice, Shadow leaves. And then says he must be a reincarnator, because there is no other way he would know such hidden information. Wang Meng shakes his head and tells her to stop flirting with him, because it is giving everyone a headache and it is embarrassing. Shadow brings his ability into the real world, and his level and job evolution are synchronized. He sacrifices 27,000 days of lifespan to make this possible. He also extracts his other skills, such as Shadow Stealth, but at a higher level he spends more lifespan to raise Shadow Stealth to level 10 and transfers Backstab Enhancement, Greedy Hand, Instant Slash, Shadow Stealth, Curse of Blooming Flower, Blacklight Shield, Stealth Boots, and the Pendant of the Faithful into the real world as well. The Pendant of the Youthful does more than just reduce cooldown time, because the devout follower it summons is nearly invincible outside the game. After using up all his reserves, only 486 days of tradable lifespan remain, so his real-world power is now nearly equal to his in-game power, which is enough for the moment. Still, he knows he must gather more lifespan so that during his next logout, he can fully synchronize with the game. For now, he logs out and wakes up in his bed. The first thing he realizes is that Qian Cece knows his address and has put a hit on him, so for safety, he needs to leave immediately, extracting the land of soul purification. Hideout would require more than 1,300 years of lifespan, which is far beyond his current ability. He understands he must find a temporary base first. With that decision made, he uses his greedy hand to gather all his equipment. He jumps out of his window without hesitation, ignoring the fact that he lives in a high-rise building. The place where Dongfang and his family are having lunch is only around 15 minutes away from his current location, and with his speed it will take no more than 10 minutes to reach them. He runs like a bullet train, moving so fast that no one even notices him passing by at the restaurant. The Dongfang family enjoys their meal while discussing strategies for the game. At the head of the table sits the family patriarch, the grandfather of Dongfang. Qian explains that with the current situation, in-game skills and lifespan can now affect the real world for their family. This is an opportunity to strengthen themselves. From the very beginning, everyone praises Qian, and even the grandfather says he is pleased with his progress. The family has purchased a large amount of tradable lifespan and already used it to buy equipment and skill books. Their plan is to get the core members to level 10 as quickly as possible and secure their advantage. Once they achieve that, they will expand their influence in both the game and the real world. With growth on both sides, their family can rise to power and maintain control for thousands of years. Qian, however, does not share his grandfather's enthusiasm. Deep inside, he wants the old man to die so that he can take his place at the head of the family. In his heart, he plans that once he captures Shadow, he will force him to reveal his secrets and extend his lifespan. With that power, Qian wants to be number one, and when the time comes, he will kill everyone in his family to clear his path. The grandfather then asks about progress on Shadow. Qian answers that there is no need to worry because they have already found a trustworthy woman who will lure out Shadow's identity, and they will hear from her soon. What he does not know is that the same woman has already betrayed him, revealed Shadow's identity, and the assassin is already on his way to kill them all. Meanwhile, as expected, Shadow stands outside the restaurant. He hears voices from within, but he has already eliminated all the bodyguards outside without leaving a single one alive. He did not anticipate that some family members would still be armed, and he knows that Shadow Stealth and Black Light Shield cannot completely avoid every attack since he has not brought much defensive gear into the real world. He understands that if he is hit in the head or heart, he will die instantly. Because of this, he sends his devout follower in first. He orders him to kill everyone inside and leave no survivors. The zombie enters, and with sharp claws and green flames, the slaughter begins. Screams fill the room as the Dongfang family grabs their guns and fires. But the bullets do nothing against the silver tier boss. He burns them with green flames and tears their bodies apart. Even the grandfather of the family is not spared. He tries to run, hoping that if he escapes and logs back into the game, he will be safe. But it is too late. Shadow is already waiting for him. Before he can make another move, Shadow cuts off his head in a single strike. He then uses the curse of the blooming flower to extract his lifespan. In an instant, Shadow absorbs 27,000 days of tradable lifespan and 482 years of non-tradable lifespan. With this added to his power, it turns out to be another good day for Shadow. The cursed flower offers an added bonus. It not only erases the bodies and blood traces, but also absorbs every drop of lifespan from those killed. With this, Shadow's non-tradable lifespan reaches nearly 23,027 years. He knows that later, when he goes to the violent zone, he will not feel as pressured soon after. He hears people screaming and calling for the police. That becomes his cue to leave. When the army of police arrives and opens the restaurant door, they cannot find a single body. They only report that gunshots had been heard, yet there are no people and not even a trace of blood inside. Everyone has simply vanished. Shadow leaves the restaurant and considers his next target, the Kian Group headquarters relocated to North America before the game appeared. But the daughter of the group's president, Kian Shershur, is still stuck here. He decides she must be eliminated before she leaves the country. The distance from Jinghai City to Modu City is close to 300 kilometers. Walking would take 2 or 3 hours, which he cannot afford to waste, so he needs to find a way to reach the place by using the game. With that thought, he logs in again. While in the game, Shadow thinks of killing a few silver and gold tier bosses in the ruins to pass some time. At that moment, Captain N sends him a message. She explains that Little Black has discovered the entrance to a temple, but a gold tier vengeful ghost is guarding it, and they were unable to defeat it. On their way back to the starting town, they took a detour to avoid weak monsters. And in the middle of that detour, they realized someone was missing. After searching for a short while, they discovered that Hay had fallen into a hole. Because it was a special tomb area, team chat was disabled. They followed the hole down and found a level 12 gold boss chasing them and slashing wildly. Fortunately, they all ran quickly and managed to escape. And then asks if he wants the coordinates. Shadow marvels at Little Black's luck, since she stumbled upon a special tomb simply by walking. He requests the coordinates, and gently reminds him to sell the loot to them later. Shadow notes that she is indeed a shrewd businesswoman. When he arrives at the location, he sees a well that serves as the entrance and jumps down. The system immediately informs him that long-range communication is blocked. After moving only a short distance, he comes across a gold-tier vengeful ghost standing before him with a giant sword. In his previous life, he had never encountered this boss, but judging by its form, he can tell it is a physical attacker with high power and long range. It now makes perfect sense why N and the others had fled in panic. Shadow dodges the attacks. Knowing that even one strike will kill him, he counters with graceful release, instant shadow slash, and slit throat, instantly killing the boss. Its defense is high, and his instant shadow slash deals only 80 of its usual damage. As he turns to leave, one of the monster's limbs suddenly falls near him. That is not a good sign because the monster burst into a bomb. The curse explosion goes off, and his carelessness nearly costs him his life. Fortunately, Shadow stealth triggers, or he would already be dead in his past life. There had been a time when they defeated a boss they had never seen before. One party member eagerly ran to grab the loot, only to die instantly from a curse explosion. Sometimes entire teams were wiped out by bosses like that. He never imagined that even a gold-tier boss in a tomb would self-destruct. Shadow then uses his greedy hand and obtains a Dark Knight Ringblade Platinum along with 110 tradable lifespan. It is a good harvest. The Dark Knight Ringblade Platinum skill allows him to coat a sharp weapon with dark power, attack all enemies within a 5-meter radius with dark element damage, and add 500 points of dark element bonus damage. He evolves it to Epic to see the result. After evolving, the radius grows from 5 meters to 12 meters, and the bonus damage rises from 500 to 1300 points. Since it is an area of effect skill, the bonus damage is not that high. This total damage per cast is still lower than Shadow Slash, but for clearing small monsters, it becomes a gold tier skill. Shadow Slash has only a 5-meter range and is a linear skill that strikes in a line. The Dark Knight Ringblade, on the other hand, can wipe out monsters that surround him. He also gains Resentment Armor Platinum level and receives more than 30 base attack power. The Resentment effect is not very useful, but the armor's base defense, resistance, and block values are very high. It is strong enough to replace the level 5 gold Ghostfire leather armor he currently wears. The other loot adds up to more than 20 items, and selling them will bring him over 10,000 days of lifespan. Now that he can enter the tomb, he hopes to find even better gear, and as an added bonus, he wishes to obtain a great mount. Xiaoyu and her friend Yen Yen keep getting knocked out by entry-level monsters, and with them, the collateral is Wei, who cannot believe that he is stuck with someone as incompetent as Xiaoyu. He picks her up and threatens her, saying that she is all body and no brains, and every time they die it is because of her. Now he only has 2 years left, and he warns her never to meet him at school again, or he will kill her. He throws her aside and logs out, leaving Xiaoyu seething with anger. Yen then suggests that they can go live with her parents in their town. There is a social aid group there that helps the elderly and people like them who cannot play the game. Xiaoyu, however, has always cannot think rationally and is unable to make good decisions. She keeps burning with rage from the insult and tells Yen to go by herself. She wakes up still furious and immediately grabs her phone, texting all her male fans to ask if they want to help her. One by one, they all reject her, calling her foolish and idiotic because they know she only wants to leech off them. When she has exhausted every option, she starts crying. Convinced that no one is as much a victim as she is, then she remembers her brother, who has never turned his back on her. She believes he must have a way to fix everything, so she decides to find him. She looks almost pitiful and sad, but in her mind, she is only thinking about how to shed a few tears, say a few soft words, and apologize. She goes to look for him, but no one answers. She keeps knocking again and again until she barges into the room, only to find everything gone. His number is also invalid, and just like everyone else in her life, her brother has cut contact with her as well. Meanwhile, in the depths of the tomb of resentment, Shadow reaches the end after killing every last monster. He resurrects his devout follower again, and together they fight through nearly 200 more monsters, along with several bronze and silver bosses. With that, Shadow is now close to level 12. All that remains is the coffin in front of him. Opening it will release the final boss of the tomb, and he hopes it will be a platinum tier 1. He resurrects his devout follower and orders him to open the coffin as he predicts. The boss instantly annihilates the zombie. Yet this boss has no visible physical form. It is a gold tier boss called Deadly Miasma, a being of pure fog immune to all physical attacks. Shadow remembers from his previous life that when this boss was released, it spread all the way to the nearest base. Players who did not understand the danger suffered heavy casualties, and anyone possessed by the fog faced certain death unless they were exorcised or had a class with special immunity. Its true form is hidden within the toxic mist, but Shadow does not panic. He strikes with his Dark Knight ring blade and immediately defeats Deadly Miasma. Although it is only a gold tier boss, its strength clearly surpasses platinum level. Still, the loot it drops is only gold grade. Shadow feels a pang of disappointment at not receiving platinum gear, but then he notices something unusual among the drops is a rare item, the Mount Bell. At last, he realizes he has obtained his first mount. Hay once again proves to be Shadow's walking good luck charm, because the Mount Bell allows him to summon a Ghost Knight Wolf at level 11. The wolf can fight alongside him, and also serve as a mount known as one of the fastest mounts in the early stages. It gains the same experience as its owner to level up. It has Swift Sprint, which increases movement speed by 245, Nightwalker, which grants permanent level 1 stealth at night that breaks when it attacks, and Triple Pounce, which strikes a single target 3 times with added damage. It also has Wolf Howl, boosting attack, physical defense, and elemental resistance by 35. This makes it a mount and a battle pet, a major win for Shadow. He rides his new wolf through the city, already planning to reach level 15 and save enough lifespan to extract the mount. The next time he logs out, he intends to head to Modu and eliminate Qianshishi to cut off future trouble. For now, he goes to Jinghai Arena, a massive complex with 2 underground levels, a maze-like layout, and countless monsters, making it the perfect place to level up quickly. Monster Knights guard the palace, but Shadow drops from above and wipes them out with instant Shadow Slash. The next day, Captain and her team are fighting monsters when Ma Niliang, the son of the Jinghai City Bureau Director, cheers her on and praises her skills secretly. He is fixated on her hidden dragon swordsman class, impressed by her power. He drools over her until she begins to praise Shadow, and then his tone changes. He calls Shadow nothing more than a sneaky assassin who relies on hiding to chip down bosses, claiming there is nothing heroic about him. In his mind, and is lucky to have his attention, because with his family status she could live a life of power and luxury, and is not the type to be swayed by flattery and immediately insults him. Unable to handle it, he lashes out again, accusing Shadow of having low morals and being bloodthirsty. He says that in real life, Shadow must be a criminal on the run, and suggests setting a trap to uncover his identity. In his view, only by forcing Shadow to work for the authorities can people feel safe. Otherwise, he claims, incidents like the death of the singer-song Faye will continue, and people will live in fear, and Meng exchange looks and burst into laughter, mocking him as an idiot. His attempt backfires completely, leaving him red with anger and stomping like a child while everyone else ignores him. Meng then turns serious and tells him he might sound paranoid. But he is worried. He mentions the Zhonggang restaurant case where the Dongfang family vanished during a gathering, and wonders if the authorities know Shadow was responsible. And if they are covering it up, they still do not understand Shadow's personality. And Meng wonders if in real life he might be a serial killer, and replies that the case has been taken very seriously, and many people suspect Shadow's involvement. But there is no evidence linking him. She adds that even if it were true, she would still continue to work with him. If the higher-ups refuse to clean up after him, she will do it herself. Meng cannot understand why she is so loyal to Shadow, but in reality, she simply wants to be close to him. Suddenly, another member, calls out that they have found a gladiator-style arena in the next zone. All the monsters inside are already dead, and the ground is covered in corpses. No one knows which team could be strong enough to wipe them out. At the palace, the team is stunned by the amount of loot scattered before them, and they quickly deduce that this is Shadow's work. They hope that if they are lucky, they might run into him. Naliang Neolink once again throws a tantrum, saying Shadow is not the only one with that kind of strength. According to him, if he had stealth, he could do the same thing as long as he spent the time, which he claims he does not have. Meanwhile, Anne is already texting her crush to ask if he has extra gear and skill books he can sell them. Just then, Shadow arrives on his deadly mount and knocks Niliang off his feet. Everyone, including and stares at the mount in awe. Shadow explains that he found it at the coordinates they provided, and gives special thanks to his little black, calling him his lucky charm. He then offers Anne everything on the ground for the same price. Without hesitation, Anne pays him, saying he always deals with them fairly. Niliang is left seething from the public humiliation and swears that he will take revenge on Shadow, though he knows he will have to wait his turn. Shadow has now reached level 13, and after clearing out the Colosseum Arena ruins, he obtains a gold-tier silent stealth skill book. This skill allows him to remain in stealth indefinitely, as long as he does not attack or move. If he does attack, he deals an additional 300 stealth breaking damage. The skill not only strengthens his stealth, but also creates a terrifying effect in real life. Combined with the invincibility frame when entering the game, he can completely disappear from reality. With this step, he instantly evolves into epic grade. He still has enough evolution points left and uses them to enhance more skills. He raises Poison Dagger to epic level and Grace Unsealed to mythic level. He also acquires the Liar's Pendant, a platinum assassin accessory. When he looks at his gear and skills together, he realizes his stealth has now reached level 4, a stage where no one can counter it. He equips the Veil of Shadow, a gold assassin item, and his dodge rate rises to 83 while moving through the city on his mount. He suddenly comes across a giant metallic boss. It is the Steel Saintess. This boss is on another level, and in his previous life, only reckless players dared to trigger her. She had appeared in the Jinghai ruins, where more than 1,000 players joined the raid, and the death toll had exceeded 4,000. She is not just a boss, but the guardian of Church Sanctum, the second largest sanctuary in the Jinghai ruins. Shadow had originally planned to deal with Shirshir before targeting this boss, but since the Saintess has appeared now, he decides to take her down. As he approaches, he sees people already attempting to fight her, though in reality, they are only dying one after another. That is when he spots a familiar face. It is Chun Wuming. Chun Wuming is a hidden class Templar Knight and an old rival who fought Shadow for 9 years in his previous life without a clear winner. In truth, Wuming was sly and deceitful, always resorting to dirty tricks and running away whenever he was about to lose. In Shadow's past life, the Stainless Saintess had been defeated by Chun Wuming's guild, the Knight's Sanctum. Players used to say the West belonged to Blade God, while the East belonged to King's Sanctum, with each guild ruling its respective zone of the ruins. Wuming had forced all his recruits to sign contracts that were little more than slavery. He gave them safety, but demanded 50 of their lifespan. In return, most of his members were black slaves, serving only the elite fighters of the guild. It was a cruel scheme that worked for him for years. This time, Shadow believes Wuming will not escape. Shadow leaps into the middle of the fight with his Dark Knight ring blade. He wipes out everyone around him in one strike. Wuming cannot believe what he is seeing and tries to argue, claiming that if it really is Shadow, then they have no quarrel, so why would Shadow kill his people? Shadow does not respond. He uses instant Shadow Slash and ends Wuming on the spot. He then casts the curse of the cursed flower and absorbs their lifespan completely. When the players resurrect, they realize that their lives are being drained again by Shadow. The only way to recover the lost lifespan is to log off and then log back in. Among the victims of Shadow's attack is Xiaoyu, who realizes in horror that her life is now almost gone. Shadow also recognizes that he has killed his sister and absorbed her lifespan, but in his mind, she deserves it and is only facing the consequences of her own actions. Just then, the Steel Saintess launches an attack at him. Shadow instantly uses Faint Ghost Shadow to dodge. At first, the boss opening phase does not seem too difficult. When the Saintess notices her prey has escaped, she swings her massive axes in wide circles, but it is useless. Shadow is already back in the air using Graceful Release. He chains the move with Blade and follows up with Slit Throat, delivering a devastating strike that leaves the Saintess stunned. But the real nightmare is only beginning. The reason she became a guardian is her terrifying second phase. Once her HP drops to half, the demon seal within her awakens, and from that point onward, she reflects all damage she receives back at the attacker equally. There is also a rumor that the demon's stomach hides a portal to somewhere unknown, though in his previous life, no one ever confirmed whether that rumor was true. Meanwhile, a party of warriors stands on top of a building, watching the battle and commenting on how the shadows on the walls once drove the boys straight into doom. They debate whether it was really a shadow or not, but reach no conclusion. Everyone knows there is only one person strong enough to fight a titanium-level boss, and even Shadow realizes that they are watching him, but he chooses to ignore them. The Saintess has a weakness in her second phase. When she attacks, her reflect damage disappears briefly, which means that striking at that moment avoids the reflection. But Shadow knows that his combos like Instant Shadow Slash, Slit Throat, Blade, and Poison Dagger all deal damage over time. If he uses them, the reflected damage will still kill him instantly with his current stats. Nearby players have been observing, and Shadow considers using them as part of his strategy. Around that time, Captain arrives, and they explain to him that the boss only has a few skills which they have already memorized. They also mention that the boss has entered a new phase. Shadow had been soloing at first, but now he has vanished. Captain Safety asks Xiaoyu to activate Red Eye to check for him even with level 3 stealth detection. She cannot spot Shadow and assumes he is gone. Believing the arena clear, Captain Safety jumps into battle, instructing his companions to watch for Shadow and alert him if he returns. His own team worries about the risk, but they also think highly of Captain, remembering his record as one of the top-tier players. Back in the starting town, he had taken a full burst without being hit once. As a former world-class Soul-type game streamer, his reflexes remain sharp, and he now uses those skills against the boss. His team cheers when he lands a devastating lunge that splits into 3 shadows, cutting into the Saintess with perfect precision. The boss HP drops to 1/3 before anyone realizes, and his team is filled with pride while Captain himself looks smug, but he does not anticipate the worst kind of counter. As a platinum boss reflects every attack, the damage rebounds on him, and he dies instantly, leaving his team in shock. They cannot understand what happened. From a distance, Shadow observes everything. He notes that while Captain Safety attacked without pause, the boss used many skills, and during that time he managed to lower her HP significantly. The warrior's damage was impressive, but he killed himself on the reflect effect. A tragic end still, this moment creates Shadow's best chance. When the Saintess turns to retreat toward the church to recover and heal, Shadow realizes that if she makes it back, all of his efforts will be wasted. He knows he must face her head-on and finish the battle once and for all. Captain Safety's team realizes that Shadow has been there the whole time, and that Captain was only putting on a show. Shadow activates his black light shield with 10 layers, each one blocking a strike. When the boss attacks, he adds his energy shield with 7 layers, and after the hit, his black light shield drops to 7. Without it, he would already be dead. The Saintess dives again, and this time all his shields are burned away by a fire breath. If he had been even half a second slower, he would not have survived. She charges once more, and Shadow decides he can only rely on Black Light Shield and Black Instant Shadow Attack. The pace is slow but safe, and while he fights cautiously, the crowd cannot believe anyone can manage this at all. After a long and brutal exchange, Shadow delivers the final blow, defeating the Steel Saintess of Titanium tier. He earns 48,000 experience points, 120 evolution points, and the key to the church sanctum. Using Greedy Hand, he collects the loot, including the Black Flame's gift, a bone-piercing leather armor with defense far beyond other sets. The armor adds layers of Black Flame to enemies when attacking or being attacked, reducing defense and elemental resistance by 7 per layer up to 5, and its passive effect lowers them even further. It surpasses the gear dropped by the Purifier boss. He also gains Assassin's Intuition and Emberland Eye, which allows him to see outlines of stealthed enemies. Finding it useful, he upgrades it to Legendary, then uses the remaining 97 points to upgrade Shadow Stealth to Legendary as well. Captain and rushes over and asks what he plans to sell. Acting like a hound, she spends 45,000 days of lifespan to buy everything. Shadow then tells her he has something else for sale and asks if they know about hideouts, and explains that hideouts store supplies and can activate a defense barrier to block invasion. Shadow says he knows of a small-scale hideout dropped by a gold-grade boss, and confirms, but notes that no hideouts have been found in their city, though in Magic City the authorities took over a mid-sized one, which is how people know about them. Shadow replies that if she understands their value, then she should realize how important the Cathedral Sanctum hideout key he just obtained is. An and Mung are shocked, but Shadow explains that the larger the hideout, the stronger the defense and sturdier the infrastructure. An 800-month hideout would give every member of the Yangi authorities their own room, and asks the price, but Shadow tells her to discuss it with the authorities and then make an offer. In his mind, he knows the hideout was worth 2,000 years of lifespan in his past life, and if he makes the sale, he will have enough lifespan to extract all his equipment, skills, and levels into the real world, and agrees to report it to the authorities. But she also tells him there is something he should hear. News has arrived from Darkman Town that 7 gold tier bosses have gathered. Many players have already been killed. The authorities are offering 10 years of lifespan if anyone can assist them. Shadow replies that if there are only 7 gold bosses, the authorities will be able to handle them eventually, so there must be more to it, and admits that it is true. They did manage to defeat one, but it was revivable. After that, all 7 bosses suddenly had their stats skyrocket, and their entire team was wiped out instantly. Shadow thinks about it and realizes they could be puppets created by the cursed slate from the ancient goldstone tablet. If it really is the ancient gold slate, then this is an opportunity he cannot miss. He asks for the coordinates and rushes to the place. Shadow is riding his mount when he sees a group of girls bullying Xiaoyu. They beat her while cursing that she only joined the guild to flirt with the leader, never giving her a chance to defend herself. He thinks that ever since she entered the Night Temple, she has been dragged into petty drama, the kind of power struggle he had seen plenty of in his past life. Back then, he always protected his sister because he loved her, but this time he decides to leave Xiaoyu to fight for herself as he exits the continent. Beneath the giant statue in the center of the ruins, he finds a hidden chamber that can teleport players back to the starting town. Most people do not know this, and teleportation is costly. The first trip costs 500 days of lifespan, the second 1,000, and the third 2,000, with the doubling each time. This is because the starting town slowly evolves into a higher and more dangerous region where weak monsters become bosses and hidden treasures appear. Right in front of him stands one such treasure, the ancient god tablet, an item he must obtain. Bosses have already appeared in Dark Moon Town, a place that only surfaced at the end of the game, and one he never reached in his past life. Here, the young help the elderly fight monsters, and in return, the elders grant them a few years of lifespan. Shadow notices one old woman refusing to share, so he kills her instantly and tells the authorities to pick up the loot. Then he remembers that the Dreams and River Guild is based in this town. From its earliest days, the guild engaged in charity, helping elderly people enter the god's abandoned continent for free until they earned official recognition and government support. It is now the largest association in the north and the type of group the world needs. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu's friend Yan Yan is fighting monsters with her family. With effort and determination, they defeat the creatures and return to town together. Her mother asks about Xiaoyu joining the Night Temple and says the guild is charging high taxes. Yan Yan feels sad because she had invited Xiaoyu to her charity guild, but Xiaoyu refused. Now, Xiaoyu has already reached level 10 with the guild's help. Her father argues that the guild is only using her as a tool, while her mother adds that the 3-year contract is basically slavery. And the only dignified way is to grow stronger step by step. Yinyan is still upset, thinking Xiaoyu has surpassed her. When an arrow suddenly kills her father, instantly a group of thugs appears to steal lifespan. Ignoring her warnings that they are becoming fugitives, Yinyan stands ready to fight. But before they can strike her and her mother, the bullies are wiped out in an instant. The leader's head falls to the ground because Shadow has arrived. The bullies return to the safe town angry and confused at how they died so easily. They wait outside, planning to take revenge on the girl and her mother, but as they charge forward, a curse suddenly freezes their bodies in place. A group of men steps out and reads their mandala, declaring that the 3 have been murdering and robbing peers everywhere, and are now finally caught. These men are official bounty hunters who step in to claim the fugitives. At the same time, Shadow uses the curse flower to drain the bully's lifespan. Yin feels deeply grateful, knowing that without him, both she and her mother would already be dead. Shadow, however, sees that his sister's friend is nothing like her. Yin is kind, gentle, and good-natured. Without saying a word, he disappears, leaving the mother and daughter stunned that the world's #1 player could act with such quiet kindness. When Shadow reaches the coordinates, he notices the authorities already waiting, but he avoids them by staying in stealth and slipping past unseen. The officials talk among themselves, wondering if he is too afraid to show up, but he ignores them and focuses on the ancient god tablet. He knows the tablet grants both a positive and a negative effect to equipment, and sometimes those effects can even alter a class. He recalls a rumor that the world's 7th ranked player once used 7 tablets in a single battle to summon the shadow of an ancient god and kill a legendary boss. Bosses created by the tablets are notorious for unusual mechanics, such as disappearing with stealth so high players die from moving too fast, or endlessly reviving because the true summoner is hidden elsewhere. Once killed, these bosses always revive and return berserk. Shadow arrives where 7 bosses are gathered, circling as if in a meeting, and he decides to test what happens if they are all killed at once. He equips the Pendant of the Faithful and summons a devout follower, which is immediately destroyed. All 7 monsters are level 10, with stats nearly double that of regular gold tier bosses, but without counter damage. Shadow pulls out his Dark Knight ring blade and uses Split Throat to kill them, though he is disappointed when no loot drops. Suddenly the 7 merge into one massive boss covered in glowing symbols written in the script of the ancient gods. Shadow rearranges and translates the writing into the name Disaster Ancient God Udos. Realizing he must attack the body parts in the order of the characters, his past efforts studying the script now proves useful. Once he strikes each part according to the health bar, the boss is pulled into another realm where giant stone tablets rise up, each marked with characters that match the earlier monsters. Shadow understands he must kill each one near the block with its symbol, and he knows this is the final phase. The authorities keep waiting and talking, convinced that Shadow is still nearby and that the boss has already gone berserk. When they finally check, they discover the boss is gone and only a giant crack remains in the ground, which can only mean Shadow was there. They wonder if they killed the boss, but no one can say for sure. At that moment, Captain and sends a message telling them they can leave because Shadow has already taken care of the boss. The men are stunned. They cannot believe they failed to notice Shadow passing by or that a full battle took place so close to them without anyone realizing it. Meanwhile, Shadow looks at the loot and feels satisfied. Reaching level 14 already proves the fight was worth it. The 7 bosses along with Greedy Hand give him 294 evolution points, but the most important reward is the Ancient God Tablet. He knows how it works and that the authorities will not figure it out for at least a month, by which time their losses will already be set. The tablet is called the Cursed Tablet of the Calamity God and contains the cursed power of Udos. Its ability allows him to attach a curse to any equipment, granting 1 random buff and 1 random debuff based on his profession and the item's traits. Shadow attaches the curse to his Black Flame gift-piercing leather armor, raising the maximum stack of Black Flame to 15 layers and pushing a boss defense and elemental resistance into the negative as expected of an Ancient God Tablet. The buff far outweighs the debuff and the armor becomes extremely powerful. He then spends 210 evolution points to evolve Instant Shadow Slash into its legendary form, which exceeds his expectations. Each successful slash now grants a shield equal to his maximum health, stacking up to 9 times for 60 seconds. If all 9 slashes land, his effective health increases tenfold, raising his margin of error far beyond normal limits with his current pace. He knows he will soon reach level 15 and then head for the Magic City when Shadow returns to the abandoned continent. He sees that Xiaoyu is still being beaten by the same bullies. They hit her until they grow tired and then finally stop. Instead of finishing her off, they spit on her swollen and bruised body before walking away, believing this will be enough to teach her a lesson. Xiaoyu, however, remains the same. Nothing gets through to her. She convinces herself that everything is her brother's fault and remembers how she did not want to abandon him at first. She thinks he should have known she is just a little girl who always says the opposite of what she truly means. In her mind, the good thing is that she signed a contract with the Night Temple with this contract. She does not need to worry about survival for the next 3 years even if she has to hand over half of her lifespan. She believes she will still have plenty left and will grow stronger much faster than the women who bullied her. Xiaoyu convinces herself that once she has power, everyone who looked down on her will be dead, including her brother. She then tries to use her skull ability to heal herself, but once again she fails, proving herself useless. Meanwhile, in the ruins of the Magic City, King Cixi hides with her 2 foreign boy toys. From the shadows of the broken buildings, they watch a party of adventurers struggle against a single boss. Cixi thinks the people of the city are weak, needing 18 fighters for one boss, and in her eyes that makes them pathetic. She feels no respect for her fellow citizens and only sees them as useless. They wait until the very last moment, when the boss is nearly defeated and only 1 strike remains. At that instant, Cixi and her group rush out of the ruins and steal the kill in front of everyone, taking the loot and victory without shame. Their group is already infamous, and people whisper about the mysterious woman with foreigners who rob others of their rewards. Cixi thinks of herself as the perfect woman, while men are nothing more than pigs that deserve to die. Her foreign companion unleashes a thunder smash and wipes out part of the party, and she follows with her own power, cutting down the rest without hesitation. She believes these people can never compare to her, not with the connections she has and the confidence she holds in her thoughts. She compares it to corporate banking, where only the clever survive and the weak are consumed. Even though their true identities have not yet been exposed, Cixi decides it is too risky to remain in Daxia for safety. They need to leave early and head to North America. She already has a plan there, to form a new guild dedicated to hunting the so-called pigs of Daxia. She even has the name ready in her mind, Alice. With that thought, Chun Cixi throws herself onto the ground in melodramatic fashion, and announces to her companions that it is time to log off and party, treating the bloodshed as nothing more than a game. After Shadow is done, Captain and texts him that the negotiation for the sanctuary has been settled with the higher-ups, and the set price is 1,500 years of lifespan. Shadow thinks that the price is too low, so she offers a counter of 2,000. He accepts, realizing that she was trying to lowball him in the first place, and finding her quite cunning. When he arrives at the meeting place, he notices that and is fully armed. She apologizes for her appearance, explaining that because she carries so much lifespan, the higher-ups did not feel safe letting her make the delivery unprotected. Shadow thinks they clearly do not understand his power. Since these guards are only a few skills away from losing their lives forever, the deal goes through, and after receiving the key, Shadow leaves. Everyone else is left wondering what kind of sanctuary it is and why it costs so much. The timing works in Shadow's favor, because the transaction comes just as he is preparing to head to the Magic City. He consumes all of his lifespan to extract his level 15 graceful release mythical skill, Assassin Intuition, legendary skill, Dark Night Ring Blade epic skill, Silent Theft Invisibility epic skill, Darkest Hour epic skill, and his mount. All of them transfer into the real world, so except for his equipment, all his skills and levels are now fully synced. His real-world strength becomes nearly identical to his strength in the game. Soon after, a notification from the game warns that his health and hunger have reached 90, so he must log out to deal with it. But when he wakes up, he finds himself in a cage with 2 thugs watching him. They demand his lifespan, warning that he will end up like everyone else in the hotel if he refuses. Shadow does not even blink with his Dark Night Ring Blade. He kills them both, and using a few more skills, he walks out of the building as if he had only stepped on a pair of pants. The more power he uses in reality, the more energy his body demands, and at this point, Ordinary food is no longer enough. He knows that once he deals with Shirshir and her Alice Guild, his next focus must be obtaining the Divine Bestowal Book. That task will not be simple, because Shirshir is extremely cunning and far harder to track than Songfei ever was. However, since she has placed a hit on him, he can use that as bait to draw her out. Even after eating an entire tub of noodles, he still feels hungry, so he plans to grab more food on his way to the... Meanwhile, in the city, Shirshir enjoys her time with her foreign boy toys until she receives a message from Shadow. He tells her that he has killed Qin Feng, and that he will meet her in person in the real-world Magic City to hand over his head and collect the rest of his payment. Shirshir, as expected, remains cautious. Believing it too dangerous to meet in reality, she asks him instead to just send a picture. The man replies that Shadow does not use a phone because he is afraid of being tracked by the authorities. This makes Shirshir think that if Shadow is so cautious, then he must be an enemy of the authorities. That would mean he is one of the outcasts, which only makes him more interesting to her. She then sends coordinates in the game, saying she wants to meet him there. She explains that she will set up a performance to test him and see which side he truly belongs to. Shadow logs into the game, knowing this must be another one of her tricks, but he is curious to see what she has planned in the ruins of the Magic City. Shadow watches as Chen Shirshir confronts the authorities. From the rooftop, she is negotiating with them, while they demand that she surrender immediately or face force. Shirshir mocks them, calling them weak pigs, and to distract them she begins undressing in front of everyone. The moment she does this, the authorities avert their eyes in embarrassment, unable to face her directly. But Shadow suddenly notices something that makes him pause. The man leading them is Cho Haonan, known by the codename Skywalker. He is a well-known traitor, the one who secretly fed intel to Alice's guild, and in the past he was only exposed and killed in Began. Shadow instantly realizes that he and Shirshir have staged this entire scene together, and its only purpose is to test where he stands. If Shadow helps Shirshir, it will mean turning against the authorities, but if he helps the authorities, Shirshir will likely never agree to meet him in real life. Either way, it is a choice between two paths, and he knows he must decide immediately. Following his own agenda, Shadow unleashes Dark Knight Ringblade and slaughters the authorities in cold blood. When the battle ends, he steps forward calmly and introduces himself to Shirshir like a boss. Shirshir cannot contain herself and thinks that Shadow is extremely sexy, though the only downside is that he is from Daxia, which he should not have been. Her boy toy greets Shadow, but Shadow kills him instantly, taking it as an insult. Shirshir explains that they were only greeting him, and Shadow replies that it was to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings, so from now on they should only speak their native language there. He then asks to begin the transaction, but tells her to put on her clothes first. Shirshir asks where Qin Feng's head is, and Shadow says that he has it with him, but could not bring it into the game. If she wants, he can show it to her in real life. Shirshir says that she has already seen his strength, so she knows he is not lying, and she completes the transaction to show that it does not matter to him. Shadow tries to leave, but Shirshir cannot let him go. She asks if he wants to work with her again because she has a new assassination target, and if he is interested in coming to her place that night, then she will do everything to satisfy him. The words carry a double meaning and Shadow understands it. Shirshir then logs out, saying she will wait for him at her house at the port. Shadow instantly remembers that it could be a yard. Meanwhile, in the safe town, Skywalker revives. To everyone else, he pretends to be furious with Shadow for betraying them, but in reality, he is pleased that he has just teamed up with Shirshir, which means he will benefit from the overkill. He continues showing his anger to another colleague, and she also believes that Shadow has become a threat to them. At the yard, Shadow arrives in his complete robe and goes to the deck where Shirshir is waiting in a gorgeous red gown. She thinks he is just as mysterious in real life, and Shadow asks who she wants killed. Shirshir ignores the question and starts flirting, saying they should enjoy the beautiful night and the wine. Shadow immediately drinks the wine she gives him, and when he seems to have sobered up, she tells him that she mixed something special in it. Whoever drinks it will begin to obey her every command. With that, she becomes eager for him and starts going down on him until the man in the robe bursts with pleasure. But for Shirshir, it is not pleasurable at all. She feels as if she is burning with green fire, and at that moment, The real Shadow removes the protective crystal pendant from her neck. She suddenly sees Qin Feng standing in front of her and asks if he was not dead. He replies that there is only one explanation, and that is that he is Shadow. Shirshir then asks who the man she was with really is, and it turns out she had just gone down on a million-year-old zombie. Shirshir instantly bows to Shadow, begging for her life and saying she will give him everything if he spares her. She offers to act as his slave, but she still hides ulterior motives and remains the same pervert as before. Shadow ends her story in an instant and gains 659 years of tradable lifespan. The only regret he feels is that the foreigners who came with Shirshir are not present, because he had hoped to get rid of all of them at once afterward. He uses Shishi's phone to call the authorities. Since she was a high-profile woman, a large police force quickly arrives and surrounds the yacht. Among them is Shishi's other boy toy, Skywalker, from the game. When they discover Shishi's dead body, they realize something is wrong, and Hyanin is certain that Shadow is behind her death as well. Skywalker then uses his special technique, final words of the deceased, by touching the body. He reveals the killer's location for 5 minutes, and he vows to bring her body to justice. He immediately senses Shadow's presence, and everyone opens fire in that direction. Skywalker is wiped out just as quickly, and soon the entire police force rains bullets at Shadow. The leader of the team urges everyone not to panic and calls for Shadow to reveal himself. Shadow responds, telling them not to panic either. He explains that he killed Skywalker because Skywalker had been feeding intel to Shirshir for personal gain and was a traitor. He adds that the evidence should be on Skywalker's phone so they can take their time to investigate. When they check the phone, they discover the correspondence and see that Shirshir was behind many of the events both inside the game and in the real world. They realize Shadow was telling the truth. The battle in the game, where he killed them all, had only been an act to gain Shishi's trust, track her down in reality, and end her. He even called the authorities on himself and eliminated Skywalker, solving 2 major crimes in one move. The officers conclude that this man is remarkable. One of them, who remembers firing a few shots at him earlier, worries that he might hold a grudge. To show gratitude, she shoots herself in the leg and says her debt is paid, urging Shadow to continue cooperating with the authorities. Shadow, watching everything, notes her sacrifice. Her name in the game is Late Night Rain, and he thinks it is no wonder she becomes the top leader of Magic City's official force in the future. Meanwhile, back in the game, Xiaoyu has joined another guild and is fighting monsters. When her guild leader asks her to heal him, she misses and heals the boss instead. After being revived, she once again blames Shadow, insisting she is the victim and claiming he is always after her, but the master she is serving strikes her and reminds her that it was the platinum tier boss Atlas assassin Charlotte who wiped them out, and she was the one who healed the boss. He says he regrets going with her, and if the guild leader assigns her to his party again, he will kill himself at that moment. They realize the boss has followed them, and Xiaoyu has no chance to escape before she is wiped out again. In a $1 million mansion, a woman is furious because the authorities had the perfect chance to kill Shadow, yet they let him go. She calls her contact within the authorities, demanding to know why Shadow was treated with respect when he wiped out her entire Dongfang clan and her blood should have been avenged. She is part of the same Dongfang family Shadow killed earlier, and she is determined to take revenge. While she is still speaking to the man, her son, whose eyes are lifeless, interrupts and says he has a plan to kill Shadow. She tells him he cannot help because only adults over 18 can enter the game, and he does not even have access. He replies that even though he cannot be there physically, he can still use his brain. Shadow loves killing, so they will send someone to provoke him, arrange for those people to be inside a fireworks factory, and set everything up in advance. When Shadow comes to kill them, they will blow up the factory, and the world will witness the death of the number 1 player. His mother thinks she has raised a capable man, but in truth he is a little monster who kills without reason. Back in the Magic City ruins, Xiaoyu and her clan members are wiped out again, and the onlookers cannot understand how. They see no threat and assume it must be Shadow. When more players are killed in another strike, the blame falls on him, and everyone believes he is randomly killing innocents with his high level of stealth. Meanwhile, Shadow is unaware of all this. He goes to a beach he believes is safe, extracts his safe house, and watches it appear inside the sea. Once inside, He receives a text from Wang Meng saying that people are accusing him of killing players. But Shadow knows he is not even online. He investigates and learns that the real culprit is a platinum boss called Headless Assassin Charlotte, whose stealth is so high that no one can see her. Wang Meng says he needs Shadow's help. In the city, Captain Safety is still angry that Shadow stole his spotlight. He insists he can defeat the boss, but his teammate tells him to calm down and focus on hiding. At that moment, he slips on a banana peel, and within seconds, his party is wiped out. Somehow, he survives and tries to roll and dodge Charlotte's attacks, but she eventually annihilates him as well. Just then, Shadow arrives, and with a stealth-breaking strike, he fatally defeats her. A few minutes before Shadow arrived, everyone was blaming Xiaoyu because she had triggered the headless boss, and it locked onto her and followed her to the respawn point. She cried that she did not mean it, but her incompetence had left every fighter exhausted, and they were tired of being killed because of her. The guildmaster appeared and told her that she was not suited for combat. From now on, her job was to search for safehouse locations. If she found a gold-tier safehouse, she would be rewarded with 3 years of lifespan, and if she found a platinum tier, she would get 10. He admitted to himself that hiring her was a mistake, but to keep her alive, he decided to grant her 1 lifespan a day. Otherwise, she would keep dying and wasting everyone's lives. Xiaoyu still did not understand, and the other women in her clan grew jealous, convinced she was stealing their guildmaster's attention. The guildmaster then noticed Charlotte fall and Shadow standing on top of her body. Suddenly, Xiaoyu, who was standing at a distance among her clan members, began floating into the air. No one knew what was happening until 4 titanium bosses appeared in the sky and surrounded her. Xiaoyu believed Shadow would save her and cried for him. With a flash slash, Shadow completely finished off the headless assassin Charlotte, but he showed no concern for Xiaoyu's life. He only gave a weak apology before using greedy hands to claim 1,120 tradable days and several skill orbs. Captain and suddenly appeared again, asking if he had more to sell. Shadow was growing tired of their constant presence, but the timing worked out because he knew another place with valuable loot. He agreed to take them if the price was right, but said only men could come and should stay behind. When An suggested he was concerned for her safety in such a dangerous place, he knocked her on the head and told her that was not the reason. Outside the northern city gate ruins stood the Tower of Divine Authority. After a challenge, it could yield great loot, but the NPC inside hated females, and if a team had any, the difficulty increased greatly. And marched away, and Shadow sent private party invites to Wang Meng and his other male members. They were nervous because it was the first time Shadow had teamed up with anyone, and as he walked ahead, they had to run just to keep up with his incredible speed. While working, Shadow inspected Bone White Blade Emerald, an assassin weapon with the unique effect of doubling his movement speed for 5 seconds after dealing damage, while also increasing evasion by 30. He also obtained Shadow Blade, a platinum tier weapon that could form a dark energy strike, dealing single target dark element damage within 20 meters. He instantly evolved it to legendary because of its power. When he looked back, he realized his new party members were nowhere near him. They were almost 2 kilometers behind, exhausted and struggling to catch up. Shadow and his new ments finally reached the gold tower. He explained that once they went inside, an NPC would appear to give them a challenge. The NPC was very cunning, and the stronger a player performed, the more expensive the items became. For now, Shadow decided he would only use one of his strength while the boys were to give their all and focus on taking down at least 1 golden boss. When he turned around, he saw Meng and his friend already on the floor, panting from exhaustion. Even so, Meng promised they would complete the mission no matter what. Shadow saw their determination and considered it enough enthusiasm. He told them that once they cleared the challenge, the items would be worth it. He reminded them to use team chat at all times so the NPC could not overhear, though he did not realize the boys were only asking for a little time to catch their breath inside the tower. Just as Shadow had said, an NPC floated in the center with a faint blue star glowing around him. The NPC welcomed them to the Tower of Divine Authority and announced that if they could pass his challenge, they would earn the right to trade with him. Meng nervously asked if they would be, and Shadow reassured them that all they needed to do was follow his commands. When the time came, he promised the fight would be simple. The boys remained anxious, asking one question after another until their words overlapped. Shadow looked at them in disbelief, wondering how they had ever managed to win previous battles when they seemed so unsure. Now Meng tried to excuse his nerves by explaining that an earlier accident had made him cautious at that moment. The NPC raised his hand and summoned an obsidian skull-splitting golem, level 20, grade gold. The shook as the massive creature appeared, and Wang Meng and his partner stared in disbelief. The strongest enemy they had ever fought before was level 11, and now they faced a level 20 boss. Meng gathered his courage and charged forward with a shield bash. The golem roared and struck back with crushing force. Shadow immediately stepped in, shouting commands. He ordered the archer to use Starfall Short and the swordsman to execute a triple landing slash. The boys obeyed, and their combined attack managed to shave a small portion of the golem's HP. With the boss now within reach, Shadow decided to join the fight directly. He warned the boys to avoid the black oil dripping from the monster's body. Since it could burn through armor, they narrowly dodged the attack, holding their ground with difficulty. Shadow then unleashed his Shadow Blade, dealing heavy damage and cutting deep into the golem. The battle entered its next stage as the creature grew more enraged. The boys whispered about how powerful the boss was and asked how Shadow knew that the stronger a player performed, the higher the prices would rise. Shadow replied in a cunning tone that the game held countless secrets buried in the ruins, and the real question was whether one had explored deeply enough to discover them. The boys had no reply and fell silent. The golem, now in its final phase of anger, began to breathe fire. Shadow quickly warned them that the monster would spin clockwise and that they needed to dodge immediately, because the black oil on the ground mixed with the flames could burn them to death in just 3 seconds. They all ran, and Shadow gave Meng direct orders. He told him to activate his invincibility skill and shield against the fire once the flames stopped. He was to unleash his highest damage skill, Full Burst, and strike the golem with everything he had. Just as Shadow predicted, they managed to defeat the level 20 skull-splitting golem. The true trick of the battle was that once its HP dropped below 70, it automatically entered an enraged state. Shadow explained that if they dispelled the enrage, the golem's strength was no greater than that of a silver-level boss. The NPC descended from the sky and addressed them. He told them that as long as they paid fairly with their lifespans, he would make a deal with them for the divine book. Wickily, NPC has 6 fingers, which is mentioned by one of the players the next moment. They are attacked by him. Usually, NPCs never attack players unless their taboos are mentioned, and this NPC's taboo is his 6 fingers. Looking at him, even Shadow can't take him down. In reality, these NPCs are divine beings from another timeline who trade for players' lifespans. Wickily desperately asked them to trade their lifespan for a gift. Meng's team is excited to know that lifespan can be exchanged for survival materials in real life. With the gift books, they won't run out of supplies anytime soon. Shadow then has 9 volumes of Zhonghai City's divine books, while giving up 9,000 days of lifespan, which is enough for his daily needs. Now he plans to go to the achievement tower for divine authority and reputation. Then he asks the NPC to send him solo to the hardest difficulty challenge. The NPC doesn't think he has the ability to handle even the first stage, let alone the highest difficulty. There are 5 tiers, and the 5th is the highest one, where he will face a gold-grade obsidian-splitting golem with 500 stats. The boys warn Shadow that he can die from a single mistake against such a powerful enemy. Wickily reminds him that he will have to hand over his dropped lifespan in case of defeat. However, our boy gladly accepts, and the next moment the NPC activates the challenge for him. Now there is a boss monster with 500 buffs. Our boy is not fazed by it, because in his past life, he had faced 2,000 buffs. He throws his venom dagger at the boss, which triggers black flames, but the boss has an elemental resistance of 7. Shadow increases his own speed by 100 for 5 seconds using Bone Blade special effect. With the effect of this skill, he rushes toward the boss, stabs it, and vanishes. Then he uses Graceful Execution, which can slash the boss' throat. But even with this powerful strike, it isn't enough to defeat the boss, who has an offensive resistance of 64. Shadow observes that without his Ancient God Tablet buff boosting his Black Flame's gift, he can only use instant Shadow Slash for 18k damage per hit. The boys, on the other hand, are amazed to see Shadow cut down half of the boss HP with instant slashes. The NPC is also taken aback to see the strength of a Blue Star God-forsaken player. Shadow then makes a deal to sacrifice 20 of his damage per second and uses Throat Slash, further increasing the damage on the boss. With that, He finally clears the 5th tier challenge and earns the reputation of all 5 tiers by completing the highest difficulty challenge. He also achieves the global first clear of the Tower of Divine Authority solo challenge outside. The players are stunned to see the tower-like structure and realize that Shadow has once again surpassed them all. The NPC is furious at him, declaring him a cheater and regretting not charging more lifespan. With a flash of light, Shadow is transported outside the tower Meng, and the crew are thankful that they are unharmed and are consoled by our boy, since the NPC cannot harm them. Then he dismisses them for dinner, and they ask him to call them again later for such opportunities. Back in reality, he extracts 9 volumes of divine books, consuming 90 days of tradable life. With 106 years of lifespan, he purchases important supplies and even a robot maid, whom he orders to clean his house. Meanwhile, at Zhonghai City, the police find a mutated female corpse. They suspect it is the same killer who murdered 2 other women, someone cunning enough to dispose of the bodies exactly outside the skill's effective time window. They decide to call on you for investigation. Other officers suspect Shadow of the murder, as the BOTUS dispatch time matches his login and logout records. The superior firmly says that despite the rumors of him being the murderer, this proof is not enough. He suspects Xiaoma is only targeting Shadow out of humiliation. He supports him in solving the case to gather enough proof, leaving the officer very grumpy. Meanwhile, at the godforsaken magic capital ruins, Shadow stands in front of Ghost Academy, a platinum-grade hideout with the strongest barriers in Hoxia. He has now created a 247 years of lifespan. Then he decides to capture and registers this hideout under the guild's name, granting it a sanctuary in Magic City. With that, he can teleport from Zhonghai City to Magic City through his sanctuaries in each city. After entering, he still doesn't find a single soul even in the 3rd-level basement. Suddenly, he hears voices and sees a gang from Azura Hall harassing a girl, forcing her to reveal her real-life location. One of them offers her a deal, to return the 30 years of lifespan she stole from Madame Dongfang and let them have her, and then they will set her free. Playing innocent, she agrees to do it if they let her go. But the next moment, she attacks with a venom dagger throw, only to be overpowered by the goon's golden cauldron slam that forces her to comply. Then she bids them goodbye as the man in front of her bursts in half from a blade chain, and she turns toward the others hiding from Shadow. Our boy recognizes her ability, standing tall after killing with her blade of the underworld. She burns in fury to take revenge on Dongfang. Looking at her hidden class of blade of the underworld, and her name as Ghost Shade, Shadow understands that she is an assassin, one of the top 10 assassins in his last life. But her identity was exposed because she opposed the Chu family. Left with no allies, she was killed, but not before taking down thousands. Now, standing before her, he decides to help her by killing this Yu Dongfang, who must be from the Dongfang clan. As soon as she notices him, she attacks with the Chain of Netherworld. Assuming he is one of her enemies, he tries to explain, but when she refuses to listen, he decides to play along, vanishing and appearing behind her, startling her. She steps back and attacks again with Shadow Dive, her stealth ability, disappearing from his sight. In response, he vanishes as well while shocking her, because she can usually detect anyone with her level 4 anti-stealth detection. At that, she doubts this person must be Shadow. When he appears behind her, she curses that he can detect her even while she is using level 4 stealth. Then she uses Spectre Pursuit against him, which enables her chains to track his location. She claims that he can't escape her skill. While trying to evade her chain, he is impressed by her technique, but thinks it's not that good. As he finally closes in on her, she tricks her chain so that it binds herself. He tells her to listen carefully. If he were sent to assassinate her, she would already be dead. Then he asks whether this Yu Dongfang is from Zhonghai City. She explains that she married into the Chu family. Hearing this, he realizes that's why he didn't find you while eliminating the Dongfang family. Hearing that, she is shocked and offers that he should be her friend, because he is also an enemy to her enemy. He throws her to the ground and says they'll talk about comradeship later. For now, he is interested to know her reason to kill you. She explains that you killed her mother in a drunk driving accident, but got away because of the Chu family's influence. Her father had enough evidence against you, but they killed him as well, staging his death as a suicide. When she went to confront them herself, their minions beat her brutally. At that time, she discovered the godforsaken game. The first thing she wanted was to kill you, but she realized she would have to drain all her lifespan to do it. You then hired assassins to kill her. Desperate, she begs Shadow to help her, but he refuses. Desperately, she asks if he wants anything. She will serve him fully, even becoming his slave if that is what he desires for this purpose. But he refuses, adding that she must take her own revenge. However, he will help her, and how much she gains will depend on her own ability. She asks how to get his guidance, and he offers her a place in his guild. Ghost Shade immediately joins the guild. Her next step is class advancement, but this task she must figure out on her own, as she can only get his help once she advances her class and finds him again. With that, he leaves, heading into the deepest part of the Spectre Academy. He decides to keep the girl at his side because she has the potential to become stronger in that place. He spots a mutated witch, Stana, a level 15 platinum grade monster. This monster is the guardian of the academy. Without wasting time, he uses Dark Knight Ringblade on her, observing his enemy in Phase 1. He immediately understands that only one of the 4 heads of the monster has been activated, making it immune to physical attacks. This leaves him no choice but to use weak elemental magic. He then uses Shadow Blade to attack and Pale Bone Blade to increase his movement. He successfully defeats one head, which triggers Phase 2 of the boss, activating all 3 remaining heads simultaneously. She sends random but relentless attacks toward our boy, each of which he dodges. Then he finally strikes her critically. The next moment, he successfully slays her, gaining 50,000 experience points. With that, he obtains the key of Ghost Academy. He also advances to the 2nd tier of his class while boosting his stats. In addition, he gains a new skill that makes his stealth skill immune to attacks. The Tier 2 transformation is now complete. A little while ago, Ghost Shade is in the outer area of the academy when the goons from Azura Hall return with reinforcements. They are ready to attack her, but she tackles them with Shadow Dive. However, they use a flare grenade weapon, and the explosion throws her back. They prepare to teach her a lesson, but notice the poison in her hand, which she is about to use. The boss admits her cunning. Realizing she plans to kill herself and resurrect again, they are just about to touch her when a notification suddenly appears, informing them that Ghost Academy has become a sanctuary of Shadow Guild and that all outsiders are about to be banished the next moment. The cleansing is complete as everyone disappears from her sight. She is baffled to realize that within minutes, Shadow has defeated the boss and made this place their sanctuary. After defeating the boss, he gets his hands on 2 items. One is a witch's ring that increases attributes by 30, and the other is a venomous trap which has level 5 stealth and poisons anyone who gets caught in it. He also earns evolution points, which he uses to evolve his backstab skill to the legendary level. This greatly increases both his damage output and survival rate. The next moment, he receives a message from Xiao He, informing him about a newly discovered ruin in Zhanghai City. It bears the same carvings they had found in the newbie village. When they conquer it, a teleportation circle appears, but nothing happens when they touch it, as it seems destined for the Fated One. She suspects he might be that Fated One. He agrees to come, prepared to sell his equipment to her. Just as he is ready to teleport, she informs him instead to sell the equipment to the Modu authorities, since Zhanghai has no lifespan to offer. Later, at the outskirts of Zhanghai City, Xiao He is there when she is suddenly ambushed by our boy, who demands to know the location of the ruin. She points to the cliff below. He asks her method of finding it, and she explains that she accidentally fell from the cliff and got stuck in a tree, where she discovered it, then called Meng's team to come explore. Entering the ruin, she warns him about the maze ahead, and explains that she has already cleared the mobs. He warns her to be careful with her non-tradable lifespan. She understands the strange system, explaining that there is a skill that can drain her lifespan if she runs low on non-tradable lifespan. To his surprise, she says they found a way to replenish it. She explains that they trapped and killed monsters with non-tradable lifespan, storing the drops for later use as replenishment. He is impressed and asks if Anyu discovers this method. She confirms that he knows, because in his past life, she was the one who discovered this method. Then they spot teleportation orbs. Xiao He touches one, showing that it won't react to anyone besides the Fated One. She urges him to try, as she suspects the orb links to the village from before. When he touches it, he is instantly teleported to the caverns of Ice Tide. He can't use any remote communication there. Inside, he is given a mission to protect the Ice Tide crystal, He immediately uses Shadow Dive to become invisible. He recalls that the crystal is going to release a freezing blast anytime it takes damage. Monsters from the tunnel soon begin to swarm in, trying to destroy the crystal. Any damage to the crystal will kill him, but the real problem is that if it breaks, he won't revive there and will lose his rewards as well. So he sets venomous traps at 3 points, then uses the witch ring to increase his skill range by 25 when the monsters arrive. Several of them are killed instantly by the traps. He stays in stealth form, and while gaining damage points, he can easily kill the monsters with his backstab. But his assault is suddenly interrupted by a weapon thrown at him, which doesn't touch him. Looking up, he finds a zombie-like creature. Surprised to find a ranged mob among them. Meanwhile, at the ruins outside the demon capital, the Azura Hall guild members stand before their client, Dongfang Yu, who is furious at the guild leader for refusing to assassinate Ghost Shade after she becomes a member of Shadow Guild. When they tell her to find someone else, she threatens to kill them in real life as well. This earns her a relentless beating from the leader, who punches her repeatedly while reminding her that Shadow may be untouchable for him. But she is not. Finally, he kills her in real life. She is furious, and immediately calls her dear husband to deal with them, also informing him that Ghost Shade is now part of Shadow Guild. He assures her that he will handle both of them, as he has already hired Black Dragon Guild Hall in the demon capital to take care of Shadow. Hanging up the call, she is filled with determination to destroy all of Azura Hall as well as Shadow himself. Meanwhile, Shadow swiftly kills the monster. He is unfazed by the discovery of ranged mobs, since his Shadow Blade is enough to slay them with a single slash to their vital points after defeating the Guardian. His mission is complete, and the reward is presented to him, which is an epic grade chest. Remembering how he received graceful release from the last one, he grows curious to see what this latest reward contains. The NPC once again emerges from the chest. She speaks in an ancient tongue, one our dude doesn't recognize, but thanks to the eyes of judgment, he can still comprehend her words. After babbling about how he is the chosen one and promising to witness his rise from now on, she finally decides to grant him his reward. It turns out to be Asahi's summoning bell, an item that allows him to summon her once he completes all 3 challenges. She will permanently reside in his hideout, offering him a skill upgrade function. From her words, he understands that the first challenge was for level 5, and this one is for level 15. He credits this stroke of fortune entirely to Dalazy's insane luck. Afterward, he gains the chance to select one of his skills to upgrade to his current level. He knows he cannot directly upgrade the quality of a skill, but he can forcefully do it that requires infinite evolution. Still, he weighs his options carefully. Initially, he considers upgrading Shadow Dive into a mythical skill, but after some thought, he chooses instead to raise Graceful Release to the highest level. Since his other skills can still be evolved later at the cost of his lifespan, the upgrade boosts Graceful Release to level 16, and at that moment, a teleportation gate to exit the ruins appears before him. Just as he prepares to leave, he notices something else tucked away inside the chest, which an equivalent exchange pact. This rare item allows him to trade any skill book or piece of equipment in exchange for another item of the same tier. Satisfied with his haul, he can't help but silently thank Dalazy once more for this unbelievable stroke of fortune. He makes his way back to Xiaohei and notices something unusual. She hasn't moved on to the next level, but waits for him at the grind level. Xiaohei, excited to see him, admits her reason that she wanted to remain in case something attacked him while leaving the area. He hands her the dropped skill book as thanks. She nearly bursts with excitement when she realizes it's a level 13 platinum grade magic shell, a treasure that boosts her survival odds. She waves him off with a cheerful goodbye, and he logs out for food. Meanwhile, in Huanghai City's ruins, Knight's Sanctuary gathers at their first real hideout. Chun Huming addresses the members proudly. This small base means safety, rest, and a foothold in the city. He points to the one who made it possible. Xiaoyu, caught off guard. Cheers erupt as Xiaoyu steps forward, slightly overwhelmed by the attention. She thanks her leader first, then her friends, and even those who mocked her, believing their criticism gave her the push to grow stronger. She mentions her late parents, wishing they could see her now and feel proud, and tears falls his face. The guildmaster asks how she found the place and what were the problems she faced. She explains to everyone a dream of a warrior guiding her here. The crowd laughs, treating it as a joke. When asked about her dream last night, She describes a massive platinum-grade hideout again. Laughter. Still, the guildmaster rewards her with 1 year of tradable lifespan and urges her to keep searching. Later, Xiaoyu pushes deeper into the ruins, chasing the strange pull from her dreams. 3 hidden guild members trail her, suspecting she's after another hideout inside a crumbling building. The air turns heavy wrong. A monstrous face bursts from the shadows. 2 tentacles striking out its mouth. Fear overtakes her. She screams before collapsing unconscious. The watchers recoil as the tentacles wrap around her and one forces into her mouth. Her lifespan drains. Instantly horrified, they realize what the creature is capable of and flee. Xiaoyu wakes just in time to see it devour the fleeing group as well. Panic drives her to run, but her terror makes her stumble down the stairs. She crashes at the bottom, then freezes. Before her lies an entrance identical to the one in her dream. The platinum hideout is real. She quickly messages the guildmaster. He orders her not to move, pulls her into his party, and tracks her location. Relief washes over her until the sound returns. The monster is back, looming behind her. She turns, trembling, trying to summon courage while her fear makes her knees weak. Her grip tightens around her weapon. She forces herself to believe she has the strength to win. The weak self she once carried is gone. As a noble hidden class life sacrifice priest, her confidence burns. She lashes out, venomous vines striking the creature. Excitement rushes through her as the hit lands clean. She presses harder. Poison mist bursts from her, a cloud of toxins spreading fast. She expects it to tear into the monster, but the truth hits too late. The space is sealed. The fumes roll back, filling the chamber, trapping her inside. She holds her breath, lungs screaming, panic clawing at her. Desperation drives her to cast detoxification. Relief sparks, then horror. The effect washes over the monster instead, cleansing it and leaving her helpless. The poison tears through her body. Her own skill becomes her end. She then returns back, and the guildmaster wastes no time. Demanding why she returned so soon, she explains the ambush inside the building. His expression shifts to know that she has survived a soul-sucking head that drains all the lifespan. She answers brightly. Faced with certain death, she had chosen to kill herself first. The guildmaster praises her sharp thinking. Calling it genius, she accepts the compliment with a grin and rushes back to rejoin him. On the way, her thoughts turn smug. The 3 players who followed her had paid with their lives. Serves them right. A week later, she leads the guildmaster to the hidden entrance of the platinum-grade hideout. He approves, promising a reward once it's theirs. Orders snap into place. Dotto spreads the team around the perimeter, ready to cut down anyone who dares interfere, even members of the Shadow Guild. The guildmaster signals the charge. Members rush the entrance. The gate refuses to move. No matter how hard they push, Dotto strikes again and again, until the truth clicks. The gate itself is the guardian. He swings with full force. Damage numbers rise above the stone. The guildmaster grins and calls it theirs for the taking. At once, the entire force unloads, explosions hammering the gate. Far away, Shadow receives a notification. His hideout, Soul Cleaning Grounds, is under attack. Durability at 993. Teleportation locked. Someone has found the entrance at their pace. It would take a year to break through. He mounts his wolf and rides hard for the ruins. Near the perimeter, he catches another scene. 2 players chasing a girl, threats sharp in their voices. One cuts her down, the other binds her with holy restraint. They sneer, accusing her of trespassing in night territory. She protests, insisting it's a lie. Shadow freezes for a moment. He knows her. She's Yang Xiaoya, his coworker, a kind soul who once brought him lunch. His gaze sharpens as he sees the guild marks which belongs to Night's Sanctuary. The same guild striking his hideout. The 2 players bicker over who gets first strike. They never finish, and just then Shadow's attack flashes. 2 heads drop before their bodies hit the ground. Yang Xiaoya looks up, stunned. Her eyes widen, disbelief flooding them. Those eyes are familiar to them. She knows them. They belong to Qin Feng. Shadow snaps his fingers, activating the curse of blooming flowers around her. She asks if he's Qin Feng, but he vanishes before she finishes. She wonders why his eyes resemble Qin Feng's, then dismisses it. If Shadow were Qin Feng, He wouldn't let Xiaoyu join the Knight's Sanctuary as a black slave outside the Soul Cleaning Grounds hideout. The guildmaster greets Shadow with flattery, apologizing for his men robbing travelers and calling it a crime worthy of death. He thanks Shadow for teaching them a lesson, reminding everyone that Shadow once saved them from the headless assassin. Since then, they've followed his example, claiming to be the most righteous guild in the game. He finally asks why Shadow came. Shadow says he heard they're attacking a hideout. The guildmaster confirms, then freezes when Shadow bluntly states that hideout is his. Panic spreads. The master insists Shadow's hideout is in Magic City, but Shadow explains players can own one per city name. He holds hideouts in both Magic City and Shanghai. The guild realizes they've invaded his property. Xiaoyu bursts into tears, unable to understand why none of her dreams warned her. The master apologizes quickly, asking how to make it right. Shadow demands 500 years of lifespan to repair the gate. The master collapses in shock. A member begs Shadow to lower the demand, but Shadow refuses, warning them to stay silent if they don't know the true cost. The master grabs Xiaoyu, furious that she dragged them into this. She admits fault and pleads with Shadow to punish her instead, offering her service for life and all future lifespan. Shadow surprises the guild by calling the master by name, then asks if he really thinks she's worth 500 years. The guildmaster explodes with killing intent, punching Xiaoyu aside. He accuses her of faking sacrifice just to win Shadow's favor. She crashes down. Realizing her plan failed again, the guildmaster begs again, claiming they can't provide 500 years. Shadow lowers the demand, 100 years of lifespan, and the rest in slaughterer heads, one per year. Killing them clears their status, which also benefits Shadow's guild. The master agrees, transfers the 100 years, and orders all slaughterers to gather immediately. Shadow receives a system prompt. Repairing the gate costs only 7 days of lifespan. He accepts. 7 days are deducted and the hideout is fully restored. Shadow kills 400 slaughterers, his level dropping from 4 to 3. The guild leader praises him, claiming those members broke rules and deserved punishment. Shadow orders the guild to guard this hideout, using it to discipline rule breakers. They must rotate watch, and the guild leader will take responsibility for any future attack. The leader agrees, realizing Shadow intends to trap them here. A system prompt interrupts. Wraith Academy is under attack. Barrier durability at 998. War teleport is available. Shadow accepts, certain everyone knows the academy is his. Curious who dares attack and disappears from there. The guild leader orders everyone back. A member protests, but the leader insists they must obey. He assigns Xiaoyu to guard duty, mocking her dream of being here. He warns her not to leave or her lifespan will be drained. At Magic City Wraith Academy, attackers pound the gate. Durability falls to 517. 2 guild members watch. One doubts anyone would provoke Shadow. The other identifies them as Black Dragon Palace, possibly foreign players. Shadow observes from above, confused since he never clashed with them. The attackers unleash Black Flame and Demonic Dragon Break. Durability drops to 13. They cheer, treating 100 years of lifespan as easy gain. Shadow concludes they were hired, and only Dong Feng Yu fits. Next moment, a dragon appears behind them, causing all of them to run for their lives. A meteor forms in the sky, releasing massive fire. The leader shields himself with his arms and remains unharmed, surprised to take only 3,000 damage, and mocks the weak power, until an energy slash decapitates him instantly. Panic spreads and their leader dies. A girl suspects the Shadow of being there and others claim he may have permanent invisibility. Shadow stands before her, recognizing her as Zhang Jinxuan, in-game name, 10 Miles of Green Mountains. She is the sole hidden class soul painter. The dragon and meteor were her creations. Unlike mages, soul painters draw their skills, excelling in defense and team battles. But weak alone, she calls out, asking if Shadow is present. She wants to enter the hideout for her class advancement and offers payment. Shadow recalls she and her grandfather, Old Zhang, were famous streamers after the game descended. Old Zhang founded Skydome Guild at Wraith Academy, building it into one of Daxia's top 10. Shadow once admired them. The hideout gates swing open and Shadow orders to come inside to talk. She steps into Wraith Academy and sees Shadow sitting on his throne. He lets her speak. She explains her class as a soul painter requires rare materials for advancement, and these exist here. She also recalls hearing he once sold a hideout to the Shanghai government for 2,000 years of lifespan. Since her advancement needs large amounts, she proposes buying the academy from him. Shadow quickly understands how the Sky Dome Guild gathered such wealth and old Zhang is clearly behind it, but he refuses the sale instead. He offers her free entry to the first floor whenever she wants. She pushes further, suggesting a rental instead. 500 years of lifespan for a 3-year lease. The access alone should have solved her needs, yet she emphasized on paying rent. Shadow realizes her real goal, building a connection to prove sincerity. She adds another offer, helping him wipe out Black Dragon Palace, the guild that attacked his gate. Shadow asks if she needs old Zhang's approval for such a move. She replies that her grandfather always listens to her, and besides, Black Dragon Palace is a small guild they can easily crush. Shadow admires her boldness and agrees. The rental contract finalizes, granting him 500 years of lifespan. He allows her full use of the first floor and mentions not to worry about barrier damage since the magma below repairs everything automatically. She accepts and leaves, alone. He notes she seems even more spirited than in her live streams, pushing the thought aside. He moves to his warehouse. His cooldown for equivalent exchange has ended, so he activates Barfich's ability. One item vanishes, and a new one appears. Intelligence training disappears, replaced by Crimson Fong, an emerald-grade assassin limit break skill. The dagger skill impresses him. Limit break abilities charge over time and can swing battles instantly. Crimson Fong alone adds 4,800 blood elemental damage, and with buffs could exceed 100,000. He still has 5 evolution points, so he spends 500 to evolve a mythic grade skill. The effect reduces lifespan drain while invisible by 90, freeing him from pressure when using Rage Domain. He checks his status, level 17, equipped with Sharp Will, fragile white gloves, invisible boots, and damp ring except for his leg piece. All are emerald grade. He admits low-level gear looks ugly, and switches back to Shadow's glass cannon appearance. With that, he prepares to move for the next hideout. Meanwhile, outside Magic City, a soldier brings 4 sellers with him that are fewer than expected. The other soldier complains, but he reminds him fewer people trade lifespan now. As the vehicles stop at the mansion, the sellers step out. One notes the size of the house, clearly owned by someone wealthy. A hooded girl among them decided to enter to inform Lady Dongfang. The said Lady Dongfang arrives and orders the sellers to convert lifespan into orbs and leave them on the ground. One seller protests, demanding to see payment first. Her tone turns cold, telling them do as told or die, and her soldiers raise guns. The sellers argue she's robbing people of the same class and launching an attack. He activates her class, Insect Manipulator Bug Swarm, each capable of growing stronger with equipment, orders his partners to strip her of everything. The group unleashes their platinum grade shield, the Golden Dome Barrier, wrapping themselves in a defense the guards' bullets cannot pierce. They follow with the Golden Call front ground quake, shaking the ground beneath. Gunfire rains down, but one member slips through the barrage with quick movements, a beam of light crackling from his finger. His hidden class comes to light, a gunslinger who needs no weapon, his fingers themselves carrying ammunition. A soldier cries out alarmingly about the arrival of a class wielder. Before reinforcements can come, Ghost Shade, while using her stealth ability, darts forward, weaving between the chaos with speed too sharp for the eye to follow. She charges straight at Dongfang, springing high with killing intent. Her strike never lands. Next moment, a figure bursts into view, catching her mid-leap and tossing her aside with brute strength. The muscular man steps forward, warning Dongfang that one of the intruders hides behind the of invisibility. She demands capture over slaughter, wanting every one of them alive, turned into permanent slaves who can feed her son's life endlessly. The muscular man measures his chances and survival stands at only half. As he joins the battle, one of the defenders whispers about his arrival. The man sees their Ironhead skill blocking bullets and realizes they are bandits living off stolen lives. Their survival still surprises him, and he wonders if they've gained enough strength to make this fight interesting. He mocks them, but in that instant, the insect drone Xiao Xian shoots forward at 200 kilometers per hour, darting straight at the man from behind. He senses it instantly, dropping low before it reaches him in one swift motion. He catches it and snaps it apart between his feet while still in midair, rising to his full height. He reveals that a barrier already surrounds the area, one that catches every movement within it. His hidden class is Plague Source. He surges upward, air shifting violently around him. The bandits scramble, throwing up iron wall defense in desperation. He crashes back with air cannon, driving his heel into his skull and throwing him away. The gunslinger is ordered to unleash his fire, while others scream to hold the enemy back before he reaches them. Bullets fly as the man twists through the air. Unhindered, the gunslinger taunts him, mocking that leaping into the sky against him leaves no path to escape. But the man answers with a small hole sonic bomb. The sound tears through the air, rupturing flesh. Blood bursts from the gunslinger's ears and mouth before he crashes lifeless to the dirt to the attacker. The result is predictable. A level too shallow cannot endure a sound that cuts deeper than any blade. The left-one bandit tries running away in fear, but he seizes his head mid-run. He trembles, begging to be spared. Calmly, the man assures him death is not his fate. Dongfang needs slaves, and this one fits the quota that must be filled. He adds with certainty that the invisible one has already been dealt with by his insect. The captor looks back in disbelief, insisting they have no invisible ally. His brothers are already dead, and the figure from the vehicle was only another seller of lifespan, not one of them. At the ruins on the outskirts of the Magic City, at the Magic Oblique Tower, Shadow arrives in his stealth form. He notices that there is no guarding monster at the entrance, which means someone is already inside. He observes the gigantic three-dimensional maze within the massive library of the tower. It is said that a monster resides here, one that was once a princess cursed by the evil white dragon. As he explores, he realizes that the team who came before him has already looted everything. Then he recalls the method to teleport to the top level and takes out a book to trigger the teleportation. In an instant, he is transported to the top floor, where he finds a team battling the Guardian Despair Princess. He can hardly believe they have made it this far, given their high death rate and weak weapons. Then his eyes fall on a woman standing at the back, and recognition strikes. This must be Fakey Heavy Industry, a group formed by Huang Huifan, who converted her company assets into lifespan and hired her own employees to work for her inside the game. Huifan is essentially an illusionist class who can create portals. She can set up 2 portals at different points, allowing her team members to teleport back and forth. Her clever tactic is to place one portal at the respawn point and the other near the monster. That way, anyone who dies can resurrect and quickly return to the fight to reclaim their lost lifespan. This tactic is likely the reason her guild rose to become one of the Grand 20 guilds in Grand Xia in his past life. Now, facing a platinum grade level 18 monster, Shadow doesn't think their tactic will work. The monster's power allows it to absorb lifespan 100-fold more efficiently than normal monsters, and it can convert that lifespan into raw strength. At this rate, the creature will evolve into an Emerald Clash and wipe out the entire guild. That's why Shadow approaches Huang for negotiation, demanding thousands of years of lifespan and any assassin-class item drops in exchange for killing the Guardian on their behalf. Huifan immediately recognizes him. He stresses again that they can't win against this monster if they refuse to hire him, then they should withdraw immediately. His words infuriate her son, but his mother steps in and stops him. But her son is not fazed, so he is attacked by Shadow, who also eliminates the portal. Huang demands an explanation, reasoning that punishing her son might be understandable, but destroying the portal is not. Shadow clarifies his intention to prevent more people from flooding in to fight the monster. He knows that in a few moments the monster will transform into Emerald Grade and wipe her guild, but Emerald Grade monster will grant him even better rewards. At that moment, Ghost Shade contacts him, informing him about Dongfang and giving her location. He promises to meet her at the Graveyard of Bones. Later, he meets her there and demands to know her enemy's class holder trait. She explains that he is a close-range fighter with a farting skill, and besides, he can see through stealth. That instantly makes him realize his class is derived from the source of plague. He further adds that he must have a first-tier plague ring around him, which lets him sense her even in stealth. Normally, plague users possess insane regeneration, making them almost immortal. She asks if such a person has any weakness. He replies that while plague greatly boosts the body, it also heightens desire, leaving them vulnerable mentally. In addition, he urges her to evolve her Blade of Netherworld skill into Tier 2's Wraith of Netherworld. This skill will allow her to create illusions, especially effective against people with weaker minds. For her, this is going to be the way to break the deadlock. He makes her understand that she needs to advance her class in order to take her revenge. She is confused about his source of information regarding her class, but he instead asks whether she has ever explored her trait during training, encouraging her to remain steady. She finally understands how he gains his might and decides to follow his path. He then suggests that she train in the graveyard, where she can upgrade her skills quickly. However, the monsters here are elite level with triple stats and HP. Still, with precise attacks aimed at their vital points, she has a chance to win against them. She is completely in awe of his strength. Before leaving, he asks her to risk everything, because that is her only way to obtain the path of revenge. When he leaves, she thinks for a moment, realizing that the word revenge also stirs a killing intent inside him as well. At the same time, at the ruins of Zhonghai City, Xiaohei is exhausted after exploring the ruin the next moment. She spots a plum-like fruit and eats it. The fruit is not only delicious but also grants her 50 experience points. More fruits are lined up ahead of her, and getting greedy, she follows the trail of fruit. Meanwhile, Xiaohei receives a call from Manhua, asking her to head to the corrupted coast area because Nei Liang has been captured, and they need her help. She promises to assist, and as she checks her map, she realizes she is already near the corrupted coast, and Yu promises to come get her on her way. While eating the plum, she curses Nei Liang for being an idiot. If not for his father, no one would ever work with him. From the edge of a cliff, she spots some fatty creature below and wonders if it's a boss. Then her eyes fall on Nei Liang laying nearby. Finally, she sees the boss clearly, that is Soul Devourer, a level 20 emerald grade monster. She can't believe her eyes as it devours other monsters, and not only that, it grotesquely molds their flesh into meatballs at that moment. And Yu arrives beside her and asks about the boss. Both of them are disgusted by its vile act, but relieved that it hasn't touched the players yet. They decide to wait and observe still. A heavy concern weighs over them that whether they really take down an emerald grade monster, or should they call for backup. Then they notice the monster's strange posture and suddenly realize it's pooping. Xiaohei is horrified when she recognizes the plum-like fruit she has been eating. It was actually its poop. The next moment, the boss notices them and activates the whisper of the gluttonous ancient god. Because of the boss skill, everyone suddenly starts feeling unbearably hungry and begins devouring the meatballs made by the monster. Xiaohei, however, wonders why she alone remains unfazed by the compulsion. Then her eyes widen in horror as the boss swallows Nei Liang whole. Now she understands that the Soul Devourer makes players eat until they become fat, only to consume them afterward. Immediately, she calls Shadow for help and explains the dire situation. Shadow, who has been searching for the bloodline monster, promises to come at once. By now, he already holds the keys to 3 other platinum-grade hideouts in Magic City, but he knows he must handle this bloodline monster quickly before the Despair Princess evolves. When he arrives at the location, Xiaohei frantically explains that Meng and Anyu have already been eaten. Then they both witness the monster defecating, and from its foul mass, Nei Liang emerges, which horrifies her even more. Shadow, however, knows this monster well. It is a servant of the gluttonous ancient god. Its skill forces players into gluttony, making them gorge until they grow fat enough to be eaten. The only way to resist its compulsion is by consuming its excrement. He realizes that Xiaohei must have already done so. Though she's too embarrassed to admit it, she begs him desperately to save their friends without hesitation. He leaps down and forces more of the creature's excrement back into it, making it vomit out Meng and Anyu. Then, with graceful release, he unleashes an instant shadow slash, slicing through the monster's hide. Finally, he activates his ultimate skill, Crimson Blade, and in one devastating strike, he inflicts millions of damage points. The Soul Devourer collapses, making him the first in history to slay an emerald-grade monster solo. Everyone is shocked to hear this news. One comments that Shadow doesn't even belong to Daxia, as his ancestors come from the Great Han Nation. Meanwhile, our boy activates the Soul Devourer bloodline after defeating the boss. Basically, the bloodline is a system where players gain a monster's ability after defeating them. He activates his bloodline, and with the Soul Devourer skill, he can consume the skills of his class, which boosts his attributes. Another skill is Maw, through which he can conjure a mouth that consumes enemy projectiles while restoring his HP and reducing incoming damage. He uses the Soul Devourer skill to boost his attributes. Then, he notices a bronze-level drop, Poison Blade, which poisons the weapon. He uses Soul Devourer on Poison Blade, but only gains 0.3 physical strength, which is far too low for his standards. Then he realizes it can evolve, so he spends 242 evolution points to upgrade Poison Blade to legendary level. With that, his physical strength increases by 2 points. He feels satisfied with this skill because, with Soul Devourer, his attributes will eventually increase hundreds to thousands of times the normal player, making him unstoppable.